for the 250th time. Welcome, everyone, to the Hoots podcast. It's just truly the nefarious of all nefarious brothers. Brother Adam, a.k.a. Joshie Lopez. I am alongside the Director of Operations, also known as Brother Carter, or the Byron Sexton of podcasting. Here he is, Derek Stoughton.
Okay.
What's up, man?
All right. First, Josh, you are already off to -5 because referring to me as the Saxton of this. Like, I understand my role, but you don't need to point it out. You know what I'm saying? You don't need to point it out right out of the chute. But it is an honor and a privilege to be back here on the Hoots podcast. I had a day off today, so I was able to record. And to get to be here for the 250th episode is really special. And of course, we're going to get a performance evaluation going today because you've got to have a performance evaluation on such a momentous occasion. So now just know that I'm not going to go easy just because it's 250. It ain't what we doing. We're not lowering the quality just because it's a special time. No, we're going straight ahead. But
we don't just set the bar; we are the bar.
That's right. We are the bar. That's right, pal. But no, in all seriousness, Josh, it's a thrill. And an honor, and I can't believe we're here, man. 250 episodes, and we'll get into all that, I'm sure. But it's just a thrill. I'm just honored to be here, and thanks for having me. This is going to be great.
No, man. First of all, thank you. I'm going to mention this later on for the podcast, but I've been very lucky with the people I've been able to share a mic with over the last 8 years, especially the last 5 years for this particular podcast. But what you've done for this show is something that I can't repay you back for. Even through like all the different transitions of the show and whoever's on and who wasn't. But like, honestly, thank you, Brother Carter. Also, most importantly, I want to give a shout out to Adam Daly, my main brother, who I started this podcast with 5 years ago. Without him, the Hoots podcast does not exist, and that's a shoot. I miss him. He's been busy. I try to catch up as much as I can. But just know, brother, I am thinking about you, and I love you, man. I thank you everything you've done for this show as well, man. So, folks, you got to give a shout out to the Punkster for what he's done for this show. Also, I just want to thank all of you, especially every single one that's taking the time to listen to the show, whether it's for 5 minutes or just the AEW segment, or whatever flow you will. Even if you listen to one episode of the Who's podcast over the last 5 years, I deeply, deeply appreciate it. I'm very proud of what this show represents, and you're going to feel that as the show goes on. And I got a lot of sentimental questions this week for the show. During the Good Brothers Q&A session, so I'm excited to get into that. And then we just have a lot of fun. That's the charm of what the show has been over the last 5 years, and kind of remind you that it's okay to enjoy professional wrestling without pretending like you're in the boardroom or acting like the show's a reflection of you. I want this to be fun. It's been a very wild week for me professionally and emotionally. And I'm glad that this could be like the release that I need for today. So it's perfect timing. I could be more lucky for the fact that Brett Carter is off to join me for this occasion. And I guess this is how it works with God's plan. So obviously, thanks to God for putting us in this position as well. We're not here without him.
Amen.
As well. So,
Josh, real quick before we go on, we all need to thank you for your consistency, for your love of professional wrestling, for what you bring to the table. What you have started with this podcast is it's very different and is so needed in the wrestling podcast landscape. I mean, there's almost every show you get out there, everything is negative. AEW is negative, WWE is negative, ROH is negative. This person sucks. I hate this booking. Blah blah blah. It's just bashing the product. And if and you and I have talked about this before. If that's truly how those people feel, then why are they watching? Why are they watching and just keep reliving the glory days and watching the networks and the old clips on YouTube and stuff? If that's what you want, But But you, Josh, and the other thing I admire about you with the consistency of the show, it has gone through so many iterations over the years, but you've kept on keeping on. And, you know, a lot of people would have just quit and said, well, I'm done with this. You know, I have to go solo for a while. I have to do this for a while. But you've kept it going. And that shows your love for the business and your love for your craft and what you do. So thank you for entertaining all of us over these last 5 years. And I cannot wait. The best part is this is just beginning, my friend. We haven't even hit the peak of what the Hoots podcast is going to be. But Josh, thank you for entertaining all of us, for putting your heart and soul into this, and congratulations on not only this, but being able to do this. Not this particular podcast. Hopefully that will come down the road, but you know, being able to be in the wrestling media for a living, like that. Do you know how many people would love that opportunity to do wrestling for a living, and you get to do that? So congratulations to you, man. And it's just, I am humbled and honored to be just a very, very small part of this. And thank you for the opportunity to have this platform for, you know, some schmo who is not in the, you know, who's just a fan, you know, I'm not, I've said this before, I'm not in the sports. I'm not in the sports industry. You know, I'm not a wrestling analyst. I'm not a sports analyst. You know, I don't do sports for a living. It's just something it's just a hobby for me, and to have a platform to be able to express my thoughts and have people actually listen and care about what I think is shocking. So I'm grateful for you. I'm grateful to be a small part of this show, and congratulations to all your success, my friend. Proud of you, and I love you, brother.
I love you too, man. Thank you. You know, it's wild. Like you guys have actually seen me grow up as the years gone by. I literally started this podcast when I was 21. So,
wow.
And I just realized to appreciate every show that we do and appreciate every day, because tomorrow's not guaranteed. And I just want people to know that regardless of what goes on in the wrestling business, I want this to be a weekly, like, mental health escape for you guys. I think that's always been like the ultimate goal me and Adam had for the show, is that we could, you mentioned earlier with the positivity stuff and trying to stay away from the repetitive nonsense, but also implement comedy where we can make people laugh or make people think and stuff like that. I know I definitely implemented that on the show over the last couple of weeks, where I've been telling everybody what I've been studying as far as like communication and psychology and relationships and mental health. I've been really trying to help people with that as I'm on my own journey. I mean, but you know, for me, I'm just so fucking proud of what we have as our contingent, our group of people that we hang out with, our colleagues and people who support this podcast, like Mitchell McMule, referee Tony for the TVD Wrestling Podcast. Obviously, our OG supporters like Patrick Fritz and Brandon DeJesus, Sam Piopo. Shout out to Pat and Sam for joining me over the weekend for those like catching up sessions that we're doing over the weekend. You guys can go check out those episodes. Those were a lot of fun. But you know what? I'm still as motivated and driven as I was 5 years ago. I was beginning on my last stage of my time at WrestleZone when we were starting this podcast. And there was part of me that wanted to stop podcasting once I was done with my old radio show. There was part of me that wanted to stop, where I was feeling that pressure and having that burden at a young age and trying to handle that. Like, there's been a long journey for even the fact that I even consider myself a broadcaster when I was in music and just hiding behind my guitar and sheet music. It's been a really different life journey for me. And we'll get to those other sentimental questions later on. But I do want to mention this though. If this is your first time listening to the show, all I have to say is, make sure to hit me up on social media at Josh Lopez Media. little more professional, but that's only because DMCA is full of shit and they want to go at their content creators. We don't make any sense for any music that we put on Twitter, but that's another story for another time. By the way, free the Hoots podcast and free NYC Demon Diva, by the way. Let's make sure that happens.
Oh, did she get booted too?
She got suspended, yeah. Shout out to Issa, I love you. But, oh my God, Twitter, DMCA, whoever it is that's like going after content creators with these copyright strikes, like, please go the fuck home and stay the fuck home. As far as but like, yeah, free those accounts, and also you can hit me up on Instagram if you like, at Joshie Lopez 94 or at Josh Lopez Music if you want to see me do guitar covers. Make sure to bookmark ProWrestlingTranscriptions.com. Your boy's going through it, man. I am taking the I don't know, I wouldn't say the voyage, but I'm like in the middle of a wrestling marathon that never ends. From Monday to Sunday, I'm doing articles nonstop for all your favorite wrestling promotions, so make sure to check that bad boy out. And that's pretty much it. If you listen to it on Apple Podcasts, please leave us a review. I want to know what you guys like or dislike the show as we enter the next chapter of this podcast. As Bert Carr said, we're just at the beginning point. And I'm just very excited to see what you guys want to hear from us or things maybe we can improve on or anything like that. So hit us up in the reviews on Apple Podcasts. So, all right. We got a lot of questions that we need to answer.
I figured we would. We would.
So there was a lot of them that were sent to me, obviously, with it being the 250 episode. But even if there's ones that you want to answer, we'll implement them. But I'm going to try my best to answer all of them. If we can't, we can't. I had the goal of reaching 50 questions because it's the episode we have. And we have, actually.
Oh, that's terrific. Oh, wonderful. That's great. Yeah, and if that's what we do for the majority of the episode, I think that's great. We should also let the fans know that while we do have a format of the show, we have the Good Brothers Q&A, the review and the week in WWE for review.
Yep.
The best segment in all of podcasting and what the hell is wrong with AEW, any predictions we make, and then we close it out with the thoughts of Jericho. But for this particular for this show, we don't really have today. We don't have really a format. We're just kind of seeing how the show goes, because we say in the intro of the show, this is a show about life, which just happens to focus on the topic of professional wrestling. And a lot of times in life, there are moments that are unscripted, and that's what we want the show to be.
Shout out to Brett. He says, I don't know how you have fingers left after all the shows you
dude.
I don't know. I answer that. I'm asking myself that question all the time too.
Actually, he has to transcribe those stupid 10-man tag matches every week on All Elite Wrestling. I mean, I can't even imagine how annoying that has to be. But we'll get into that. But
yeah, not even that. It's like the 2-hour editions of AEW Dark and.
Right. Yeah. Right. What is that promotion? Okay, we're gonna get into it. Sorry, we're gonna get into it. We're gonna get into it. It just okay.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's time to get to the Good Brothers Q&A session. As always, you can send me a question if you like at Josh Lopez Media or at the Hoots Podcast at gmail.com. We are live in the Good Brothers studio right now in lovely Chicago, Illinois. Yes, I have my bulletproof vest around the corner of this room here, just in case I need to be safe. First off, go ahead, brother.
Did we get any questions about the Bears this week, Josh?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, because I need to get your thoughts on what's going on with that particular franchise.
Yeah.
You just hear all the quarterback news. I need to get your thoughts on this.
Oh, hopefully you just don't rub it in my face as much as I've already.
You think I'm rubbing it into my face? Look at the shirt I'm wearing. For those of you who can't see it, I'm wearing a New Orleans Saints shirt today. That's my NFL team is the Saints, and man, we got to rely on Jameis next year. So I don't know. We'll get into it.
Yeah. So right now, we had over, I think, 55 questions the last time I counted. So we are going to start off with the OG supporter of the Hoots podcast, Patrick Fritz.
Well, Patrick.
Make sure to follow him at Twitter at RatedPWF. He says, first one here. Was I not the best co-host for catching up with? He writes, spoiler, I was. Pat, I love you, man. I always appreciate the support and the brotherhood that we have. Obviously, if you guys want to know a little bit more about Pat, like go check out that episode I did with him. It's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the Hoots podcast. I have a little side project called Catching Up With, where I bring like tag teams. No, not tag. Oh my god. I'm sorry. I bring people like colleagues.
Yeah.
Tag team, right? Colleagues or friends of the show.
Thought you were straight edge, Josh. What have you been drinking this morning?
Great question. That's what women do to you.
I mean, you're not wrong, but go ahead.
Right. So yeah, I bring like colleagues or just friends to the show. We come on and basically shoot this shit, or we talk about the landscape of wrestling media. So I had Pat and Sam Piopo to come on the show over the weekend, and those fun conversations. Were you the best co-host? That remains to be seen, since you're flaunting the Patriots shirt in my face. So,
yeah, because Cam is totally going to ball out next year. I mean, give me a break. By the way, I will say about Pat, he does an amazing Bane impression. Yes, I was on a podcast with him, a show with him, and actually Adam. The three of us were doing it, and he was doing his Bane stuff. And it was unbelievable. I still have some of those clips, and I was dying laughing. So shout out to Pat. He is a good brother.
All right, next question. He says, do you think there will be some sort of tomfoolery with Titus O'Neil and Hulk Hogan, as they are the hosts of WrestleMania this year? Brother Carter, you have any thoughts on that?
Yeah, I mean, I don't think so. I think it's going to be, we have Titus has become more of an ambassador for the company. I think his wrestling days, by and large, are over, and he's great in that role. So I think I don't think there's going to be any tomfoolery in that. Maybe if a Brock Lesnar returns and F5's Titus or something like that, I could see that. But other than that, I think they're just going to do a great job hosting the show as the guest hosts have done every year.
Shots Ray says Cam would be the best dressed clown. Yes,
that's exactly right. Yeah, that's exactly right.
You know what? What I'm really happy for Titus is the fact that I look at it. Oh snap! We got a trade alert! Oh, for the NBA. Chicago Bulls have just landed Nikola Vucevic for the Orlando Magic. Wow. How about that?
How do you feel about that?
Wow. I was shocked they got him. I wasn't expecting that. All right. Back to Titus. I'm happy for him because he's really well known in what he's done in the community in Tampa, Florida. Obviously, he hosted WrestleMania with Rob Gronkowski last year too. So the fact that they followed that up again with the fact that fans are coming to Raymond James Stadium and him being a Tampa guy, I'm really happy for Titus because obviously he doesn't do a lot of the storylines or matches and stuff. He's more like an ambassador for WWE, and he's a wonderful human being. So I'm happy for Titus that he's getting this opportunity. Just like with anything that I really don't want to expend any energy on, I just have no thoughts as far as Hulk Hogan is concerned, so I'm not really going to get into that. So no, I don't expect any tomfoolery. Last question for Matt. He says, I want to get your thoughts on this, Ricker. I think you'll like this one. If Asuka loses the women's title to Rhea Ripley, she'll be 0-4 at WrestleMania. Do you think that is significant?
Oh, interesting. I hadn't thought of I didn't realize that was the case. I'm going to say no, just because I think Asuka is still one of the top professional, not just female wrestlers, but one of the top professional wrestlers in the world. So I think it's going to be one of those things where if that does end up being the case, this streak of Asuka is just going to kind of come out of nowhere. Just like the Undertaker's streak just kind of came out of nowhere. All of a sudden, someone realized, oh, you're 10-0 at Mania. And then all of a sudden they took it and ran with it. So, I mean, honestly, I hadn't really thought about that. But I don't think it's going to be much of a significance, too. Because, again, I think Asuka's one of the absolute best in the world. So, and she could lose, every major pay-per-view match and still be considered one of the best, I think. Anyways.
Yeah. I think for me, like I look at, if you look at wins and loss records at WrestleMania, I think those are kind of misleading, to be honest with you, because it doesn't always have a bearing of your career. I mean, look at Triple H's win and loss records at WrestleMania, and you'd be surprised how many times that guy's lost at the shows. I know a lot of the wrestling fans are still kind of stuck in that like CM Punk podcast mode of, oh, you have to have this certain amount of wins, you have to be last, like these like old tropes of wrestling, and oh, if you don't win this amount of matches, oh, that means you weren't significant or anything like that. Honestly, you win by the fact of you participating at WrestleMania. Being on that show is a privilege, not a right. I kind of hope wrestling fans understand that. Like, these men and women bust their ass year in and year out, and whether you are for their character or whatever their booking is concerned or whatever their win-loss record is, they earned a right.
Yeah.
So it's a privilege for them. It's also for the wrestlers too. Like, there's people that would kill for the opportunity to be on that show. So don't take it for granted, even if you're like losing a title at the show or whatever. For the entitlement, I think entitlement is something that really brings down the fun aspects of professional wrestling, in my opinion. And I think you kind of know where I'm going with that. Yeah, that's a great question. Do I think it has significance? No, but to say that Asuka is going into another women's title match at WrestleMania is a big accomplishment for her. Let's look at it that way. That's a good question.
Yeah, and a couple other things that I thought about that. One, I think, Josh, your point about this being a privilege is especially true this year, because this is going to be the first time that fans have been in attendance at a show in over a year.
Yeah.
Like that's going to be I still think that's going to be an incredible moment. Also, again, anybody who thinks that, if that might be true, Asuka started her career with like how many wins in a row? Like she had a 200
matches, yeah,
undefeated streak to start her career, right? And then the other thing about WrestleMania to think, Josh, is by and large, and this isn't always true, but by and large, the faces usually get the wins at WrestleMania because that's kind of the big conclusion of a lot of storylines happens to be at the biggest show of the year. So it all depends on what your character, because I think some of those losses for Asuka, she was playing a heel character. So of course she was going to lose at that point. So we have to keep that in mind as well, that the faces usually win. You have to take where their character is into. Oh man.
Yes.
Matt McCool.
Mitchell McMule.
Matt McLukewarm.
I appreciate it, brother.
Josh, I got to tell you, over our 5 years of knowing each other, one of my top 3 moments came when we were on the TBD Wrestling podcast, and I called Matt I called him Mick Lukewarm.
Oh, that was great.
Matt McLukewarm.
Hey, you still want to go first? You heard that? Oh man. All right, man. Let's move on to the next batch because we got a lot of questions we got to answer. Next one, give a shout out to King Ajar, good friends of the show.
Absolutely.
He said, this is directed to me. He said, you tweeted a week ago that going on last at WrestleMania doesn't mean what it used to. Please expand on your opinion. I'm glad you asked this because for me, I do believe that. I was talking about this in the This Week in WWE segment, Bert Carter, that like I think the concept of being the literal last match of the show has lost its luster, in my opinion. Even for the fact that the women did have the main event WrestleMania 35 and how significant. I'm not taking away history, but the concept of the last match of WrestleMania for the product is concerned and the match quality, in my opinion, has lost its luster over the last 5 to 6 years. Because even if you look at the road to this year's WrestleMania and in this era of wrestling we are, where we're constantly switching the world title matches because a certain spectrum of the fan base is butthurt over the positioning of one feud over another, who's getting the title shot or not, implementing other people into World Title matches, even though they win a Royal Rumble match. Like, you know, you win the Royal Rumble match, you should have a one-on-one match in WrestleMania. But hey, we need to repeat Daniel Bryan again, like it's 2014, so it's gonna be a triple threat match, right? And then, okay, that for me, like, the main event of WrestleMania is not Wrestle Kingdom. It just does not have that sports feel. The draw of WrestleMania is that. It's the brand. It's the stage. It's the ambiance. It's the everything that goes throughout the city. It's the entire experience of WrestleMania. It's not, okay, here is Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins as the main event of WrestleMania, and that's the genesis of what the show is. I just don't think having that last match means as much anymore, and I don't want that to be the case. I'm the positive one here, but I could call a spade and say that the luster, the lore of going literally last at WrestleMania has just not connected the way it was when I was younger, at least in the early 2000s or mid 2000s. Hell, even in the late 90s when I first started watching this stuff, you know? Like, so for me, like, okay, you could have Bianca Belair and Sasha Banks go last. I wouldn't have an issue with that. I really wouldn't. But for me, I don't think there's one match on this year's WrestleMania card that's like, oh, if this doesn't go last, That's just generally how I feel. You could have the best match of WrestleMania, like Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker at WrestleMania 25. That did not close the show.
Right.
You could have Bret Hart and Steve Austin from WrestleMania 13. That didn't close out the show.
Mm-hmm.
Make your moment. Don't worry about your fucking placement because just because you're placed somewhere doesn't mean jack shit. I'm happy for Becky that she had her moment, but do people go out of their way to go watch that match a gazillion times just because it was the last match and it was this classic of a match? No, the fans were burned out after a 9-hour show. And people are sitting on their hands. So for me, I just don't think it has the same luster, in my opinion. Go ahead, Brett Carter.
That was going to be my point, Josh, and you hit the nail on the head. WrestleMania has become such an extravaganza now that by the time you get to the main event, you're exhausted. Like, you're tired. And like, you could tell that the energy in the building, there was none left when it was time for the main event because they were in a 5-hour show. And just a couple segments before, the moment for me of WrestleMania that year happened when Kofi Kingston won the WWE Championship. Like, to me, that was the moment of that year's WrestleMania. So that's one thing, is you just, because of how long the show has gone, it's impossible for every year the final match to be, to finally get that big moment. So that's number one. And you said it also too, Josh, you never know what the moment is going to be. Again, take Mania, take Shawn Michaels and The Undertaker from 25. Take the Ric Flair retirement match from 24. Like, that was the moment of that year's show. I would argue, even though Daniel Bryan won the title at 30, I would argue that the streak ending would definitely be the moment from Mania 30.
Like, if you really think about it, like, the last significant last match of WrestleMania was Roman Reigns and Brock Lesnar at WrestleMania 31. I was there for that in person to see the Seth Rollins cash in.
Yep.
It wasn't just because I want to make this really clear because there's people that like to have revisionist history. It wasn't just the fact that Rollins cashed in the briefcase that made it a special moment. If you look at the Brock Lesnar Roman Reigns match from that time and everything going into that build, it was really legitimately like the last big fight feel that I felt for a WrestleMania main event. And the match delivered in that standpoint as well. Like, I remember coming back home from the trip in San Jose, and I'm doing like the article for it, right? And like, God, these guys are beating the ever-loving shit out of each other, right? And it's like, I think some years we kind of forget that WrestleMania is not boxing or the UFC.
Right.
The brand of WrestleMania is the draw. It's not so-and-so for so-so, that's the main event, and that is what it is. I mean, you could have your special attraction matches here and there, but I don't know. I want to get your guys' thoughts and your opinion. You guys think the last match of WrestleMania has as much significance as it does back in the day? Like, if one match goes last, do you think that's just automatically going to be gold? You never know. So I want to give a shout out really quick to Issa, who's checking in. I appreciate you. I love you. Thanks to you for the support. I really appreciate it. I'm in the same boat with you as far as like the DMCA is concerned. They could go take one in the ass as far as I'm concerned. All right. I agree with her what she was saying here about the history of the women. Again, my point was about taking away the history of the fact that the women were closed down WrestleMania. I just think like the lore of the match, as far as its effect on the product, doesn't have the same effect, in my opinion. You know?
Yeah.
But again, it's for me. Like, I'm not going to lose sleep if Bianca Belair or Sasha Banks main event the show. I have no issue with that. I really don't. So we'll see what happens. Let's go to the next batch of questions. We're going to go to Chris Aletta at XTeensAletta24X. By the way, hashtag free the Hoots podcast and NYC Demon Diva. Let's get that going.
Yes.
All right. Next question. Oh, my bad. I missed a couple from King. God damn it.
-2, Josh. Your performance. Now, you got to have to have negative start recalling me Saxon. You're just going downhill, my friend. And -2 on your performance review.
Yeah.
King AJ questions.
I'm sorry I averaged 4 hours of fucking sleep a week. I'm sorry. I apologize.
The grind is real, covering the 3 shitty AEW shows. Go ahead.
Yeah, you got a good point.
I'm sorry, I can't help but whenever I get a shot, I'm always going to take a shot at AEW because
it's well deserved. It's definitely well deserved,
especially this week's Mud Show. Good Lord.
Oh, shout out to B Rob is in the chat. What's going on, good brother?
Oh man, I hope B Rob's honey's getting better.
Oh no. Oh, God. He said, guess what he said? He said evaluated titty meat. Oh my God. What a trip. All right. Next question from King. He says, why do you think Drew has been a good babyface Raw despite falling into key money metrics? That's a good question. Well, for me, I never really considered Drew McIntyre as a babyface. Maybe I'm missing that point. Like, I never looked at Drew as like, oh, he's just the good old John Cena. Hey, kids, you want to get my autograph? You want my ugly ass T-shirt that I'm gonna change in 2 months? Like, I just never looked at Drew McIntyre in that sense, you know.
He's a big old bowl of fruity pebbles, Josh.
Yeah, and you know this about me, Brett Carter. For me personally, my preference is what you do inside the ring. Everything with characters and storylines and stuff like that, or booking and stuff that I really don't spend a lot of time on because I'm not a booker. I'm not gonna come on here and insult your intelligence and stuff like that. What you do in the ring is what matters to me because that's the premise of what we watch the show on. And whether you're for Drew McIntyre or not. You can't deny what the guy does in the ring. Just look at the match he had with Sheamus at Fastlane the other night. It's fantastic. So for me, like what he does or doesn't do as far as metrics are concerned doesn't have any effect on me because again, what I do in the media, I'm a stenographer or whatever phrase you want to use. Mm-hmm. I transcribe wrestling matches. I'm not a guy that could pretend like I'm a Sean Ross Sapp of the world or all these other people. That's not my field. That's not what I do. So like it really doesn't matter to me whether Drew McIntyre is a draw or not. I appreciate what he does in the ring. That's what my focus is at, you know?
Yeah.
But again, I just never looked at Drew McIntyre as a babyface. Not once. I always thought he was just like a tweener guy.
Yeah, I think Drew was kind of forced into that, and I'll use air quotes, babyface role because of the time that he was given the ball. You know, that he was given the WWE Championship right as the pandemic was starting. And what he was able to do with that, leading the, because WWE needed to be a positive image for the world during the pandemic. When all other sports were shutting down, WWE kept going. And so I think that forced Drew McIntyre a little bit to kind of be that baby face, and he's done it really well. Like, I agree with you. He's just a badass baby face, like a guy that, he's a good guy and people love cheering for him. I love cheering for him too.
But I'll give credit where credit's due. Like, he is goofy to a certain extent. He is, like,
sure.
I always mention this. Like, he mentioned it in like Corey Grape's podcast that he was having a conversation about how he's going to handle himself as a character after that WrestleMania moment with his wife, and he was like, "Where do I go here? Do I just be the straight badass guy, or I try to make people laugh a little bit as we're dealing with the pandemic?" And he's like what you see on TV is more of who he is in real life. And is he corny at times? Yeah, who else isn't? If you want to compare corniness between Drew McIntyre and Kenny Olivier, we could do that to the cows go home, because that dude's the biggest fucking cornball I've ever seen in my entire life. Not just wrestling, Brett Carter. Literally, Kenny Omega is the biggest fucking cornball I've ever seen in my entire life. The stupid entrance with the broom sweepers and God knows what, and the weird finger gestures that he does, and he seems like, I see Kenny Omega on my screen, and it's like it sounds like he's singing his promos. He doesn't even talk like a human being. Oh. So, like, as much as Drew McIntyre is a goofball, Kenny Omega is worse, and this guy's like put on a pedestal like the Michael Jordan of wrestling. It's ridiculous.
Only in the AEW fans' minds, because especially when they try to do the whole North Carolina, which is stupid as hell.
North Carolina,
ridiculous. But again, Omega, and I've said this before, Josh. I know we're going to get into this. Almost every time I said Kenny Omega is the most overrated wrestler in the history of the business. Like, he's terrible. He is. Right. He oversells. He can't cut a promo. He has one speed, and that's to just run full throttle and then completely oversell his opponent. And there's no continuity to his moves, to his storyline. He is the most overrated professional wrestler in history. And think about this.
Yeah.
If you were going to take Drew McIntyre against Kenny Omega, who is a more believable champion? Drew McIntyre. If you were to take Bobby Lashley and Drew McIntyre, who's a more believable champion? Bobby Lashley. If you take Roman Reigns and Kenny Omega, who's a more believable champion? Right. Like, you could take the top 3 or 4 people on both shows in WWE and in NXT. Who would you take as a more believable champion? Finn Balor or Kenny Omega?
Yeah.
I'm taking Finn Balor. Karrion Kross. I mean, the list goes on and on and on of people that I would take over Omega as a credible champion.
Well, honestly, if you look at WWE right now, I think they have the right 2 guys as far as being like the top champions in WWE with Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley. In my opinion, as far as like believability and all that's concerned, you're not going to get A2 better than Roman Reigns and Bobby Lashley, in my opinion.
Absolutely not.
I just can't do freaking Olivier and the brooms and all that bullshit. It's ridiculous. Him and Don Callis, and like, they got this angle with the Young Bucks, like it's like the days of our lives. Like, I don't know if I'm watching Dynamite or fucking General Hospital sometimes. All right. B-Ross said his honey's the bee's knees.
He wishes. I'll be the judge of that.
You've been waiting for this question. We're going to talk some sports here.
All right.
Thoughts on Andy Dalton replacing Mitch as the Bears quarterback? Oh, God. I don't know what's more naive. Bears fans thinking if you just replace one quarterback, we're going to be an instant Super Bowl contender, or Cubs fans thinking they're going to be a sustainable, successful franchise. I'm sorry, Sam, if you're listening to this, but I'm just going to call a spade here. But like, okay. I'm really going to try my best to like keep my composure here. This is supposed to be a celebration show. We're having a good time shooting the shit or whatever, right? And you got to bring up the Chicago Bears. Yes, I know my football team is an ever-loving laughing stock right now. shoot your arrows about, oh, they didn't draft Patrick Mahomes or Deshaun Watson. They didn't do that. I think a lot of these football fans would wish to be in the scenario they had with Mr. Trubisky, where they were in the playoffs 2 out of the last 3 seasons.
Correct.
I'm sorry that he got drafted by the most inept football franchise in the NFL. Yeah, it's supposed to be the fucking charter franchise of the NFL. Like, it's frustrating being a goddamn Chicago Bears fan. What do I think about Andy Dalton being the quarterback? It does not mean shit. Because we're not going anywhere.
Excuse me. Sorry.
Oh, man. I'm sorry I had to get off on that rant, but if you want to go on, Rickard.
No, here's the thing, though, Josh. Now, do I agree that the Bears GM is inept and should be fired? Yes. Do I think that the Bears head coach is inept and should be fired? Yes. I mean, they need to do a complete reset. But it's hard to say, and I've said this before too. Yeah, I mean, hindsight is 20/20, right? You look back at Mahomes and Deshaun Watson, and they traded up to get Trubisky, who hasn't really panned out. But you never know who is going to make the transition well to the NFL. You just never know. What if Patrick Mahomes had gotten hurt in the second week of his debut? And
what if he played his rookie season?
Right. What? There's a ton of what ifs. You know the analogy. If my mother had balls, right? She'd be my father, right? Yep. So it's just what if, you know? You never know who's going to make the transition well. Looking at this year's draft, everyone says Trevor Lawrence is the second coming of, Patrick Mahomes or whatever, which I hope it is. You never know, but he also could come in and can be another top first round pick that is a complete flop. You just never know.
Let's bring it to a different realm. Let's talk about a different sport. What do I think about? Let's say like it's hard to say because I think the Mets would be better this year. But honestly, if you look at the overall landscape, obviously when it comes to baseball, the Yankees are always going to be in the top. It doesn't matter what the New York Mets do. If you look at the NFC North, the Packers are the cream of the crop of the division. Obviously, doesn't matter what we do is with quarterbacks or who comes to the football team. It's not going to take you anywhere,
Well, and if you can't be coached, if you don't have a good coaching system to get better, you know what I mean? Like
a football coach has a damn play sheet that looks like you got it from Denny's or Waffle House or something. like what are we doing here? So, yeah, Issa, I've seen your comments in the comment section. I see where you're coming from. I do. All right, let's get to Chris' question. I did promise to get to Chris Letta's questions. We're flying by these really quick. So, all right. Which teams impressed you early in the NFL free agent period last week? Go ahead, Brother Carter.
I will have to do a little bit more research on that. I'll be honest, I hadn't following the NFL free agency too much, so I wouldn't be able to give too much of that. I'm more interested in what's coming up in the draft and how the different maneuvers are going to happen and how these different things are going to fall in place. I will say the Giants picking up Kenny Golladay is huge. That one I really liked. That could be a game changer. Daniel Jones is out of excuses now. If he can't make anything with Kenny Golladay, I don't know. That's not a good look. The other team who I think has kicked some serious ass while I think about it is the Arizona Cardinals. Watch out for Arizona next year. They signed J.J. Watt. They signed A.J. Green. I mean, look out for Arizona next year. That could be a potentially dangerous franchise next year. So I would say Kenny Golladay and the Arizona Cardinals with the Giants, I should say.
Yeah. Thank you, Issa, for coming by. I appreciate it. Make sure you check out her show she does with Mimi. They do it every Thursday night around 8 o'clock Eastern time. It's called Super Kicks and Heels. So make sure to check out their show. They do a great job. All right. Let's go to as far as that question is concerned for free agency. I liked what the Patriots done, but it's also, again, going back to, okay, where are you going to go with Cam Newton? Right. What are you going to get out of that? For me, I like what I've seen from Arizona, but it's also putting pressure on Kyle Murray and Cliff Kingsbury to see what they actually are in the long term. I'm not really impressed with the Rams. Like, okay, you got Matthew Stafford. Does that actually mean a hell of beans in the long term sense? Like, I don't know what in the blue hell my football team did this offseason. I have no comment on that. I just find it interesting. A guy like Trent Williams got $168 million from the 49ers. It's like, you're really giving that amount of money to a lineman? Shit.
We're in the wrong industry, Josh. I mean,
yeah.
we can.
I should be making that money for the amount of wrestling shows that I type out. Shit.
And no kidding. I wish. Yeah, shoot. Give me $3 million. I'll suck for a year. No problem.
Yes,
I got that covered. No problem.
Yeah.
By the way, Josh,
I'm not ready for the pettiness that's going to come from the NFC East. I know Dak is back, and they got the stuff with the Giants and the moves you were talking about earlier. But it's gonna be like football teams gonna linger around, and then we're gonna have another scenario where the Eagles are there for the first couple of weeks, and then it doesn't matter whatever happens in the NFC East. The NFC East is always the NFC East.
Yeah, they're terrible. I will say too, I want to see what happens in Indianapolis now that they have Carson Wentz. And this is partially also for Mitchell as well. Let's see if Wentz is really worth all that money that the Eagles were paying him. Now that he's got a good offensive line. Now that he's got those kind of things. So I'm curious about that one too.
All right, next question. Do you think it's possible we can see Victoria pop up in the NWA? I'll take that one since I do the NWA stuff. Yeah, I would love to see that. Velvet Sky just joined the NWA. She's doing color commentary with Joe Galley and Tim Storm, so it was really cool to see that. I saw Terrence Terrell the other day on Back for the Attack, a girl that did a really good job from TNA and Impact back in the day. Also a good piece of Waterfall as well, but for another time. Yes. I can see Victoria pop in there if she wants to do a couple more matches and stuff, but I'm just really happy for Victoria that she had her Royal Rumble moment this year. I thought that was really, really cool. Shout out to Drew Baydala, everybody from the SNE network for the shout out in the comment section. I appreciate it, man. It really means a lot to me. Man, let's see what the next one is. Which female would you put in the Hurt Business between these two, Naomi or Mercedes Martinez?
Ooh, I'm going to say Mercedes Martinez because I think Naomi needs to eventually start doing some stuff with Roman Reigns and Jey Uso and getting involved with the over on SmackDown.
Yeah,
with the family bloodline storyline, she could be better fit over there. So I'd say Mercedes Martinez.
I'll go with Mercedes Martinez as well. For me, though, I just for the hell of it, I just love to see Shayna Baszler in the Hurt Business. I mean, you're hurting people, hurt motherfuckers.
Wow, that would just gimmick, I'll tell you, you know who else I wouldn't mind seeing, Josh, in there is Mia Yim. If she can get away from Retribution, I think she could be great in the Hurt Business.
I think she'd be a good addition to that too. I agree with you with that. Drew asked in the chat box, "What's your favorite WrestleMania match?" Go ahead, Brother Carter. What's your favorite
WrestleMania match? To me, it's Shawn Michaels and Undertaker 26, the retirement match for Shawn Michaels. I think they just the way that they built that storyline up over the year and that finish when Shawn just slapped him in the face. Undertaker gave the biggest tombstone I've ever seen. So that's been my favorite WrestleMania match.
I got two of them from both for I got two-way ties, specific reasons. Number one is Shawn Michaels, Triple H, and Chris Benoit from WrestleMania 20. That's my favorite world title match. As far as like you were talking about earlier about the last match of WrestleMania, that is a last match of WrestleMania. And then this for sentimental reasons, with both of them being my favorite wrestlers, was CM Punk and Undertaker from WrestleMania 29.
Yep.
So those are my favorite WrestleMania matches. And of course, honorable mention, Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, obviously from WrestleMania 13 in Chicago. I know everybody says Joshie and CM Punk is the best wrestling match to ever take place at the Rosemont Horizon. Actually, it's Bret Hart and Stone Cold for what its effect was on the business. So you got to give shout out to that one as well.
Yep. I'll throw one more on. I'll throw one more in there, Josh. The end of an era match with Triple H and Undertaker with Michaels as the referee.
Yes. That's a great
best false finish of all time.
Yes. All right, next question. He says, what would you have done different with Retribution overall? I would just like to actually tap into the hacking stuff that was supposed to be initially the group. As far as like the ski mask and all the run-ins and whatever happened initially with the first, honestly, I think Retribution got dealt a bad hand with the pandemic. I'm just gonna be upfront with that. Whether the concept is stupid or not, that's up to your discretion. But for me, I just think they got dealt a bad hand. Really tap into the hacking aspect and bring out the issues of WWE, show it on camera, and do something about it. And it's just unfortunate because it could have been a group that could have worked. I know a lot of people make a big bugaboo about the names of the members of Retribution. I've loved the promos that Ali's been cutting recently. Yeah, he's been losing a lot of matches, but again, he's a heel, so it kind of makes sense that he's losing. Kind of like, so you have Retribution complaining about being held back in injustices on Raw, and you have the Sami Zayn conspiracy theories on SmackDown. They kind of correlate with each other. One's more effective than the other, obviously. And then, so what I would have done differently is really tap into the hacking aspect, because that's where this all started. And, there's a lot of missed opportunities with Retribution, in my opinion.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%. The hacking thing, I would have tapped into that more. I would have, and this is tough to say because the Hurt Business has been doing so well on Raw, but I would have treated Retribution more like a traditional faction and getting rid of the face masks. Let them just be Dominic Dijakovic, Dio Madden, excuse me. Shane Thorne and Mia Yim. I would have just let them be the group. I would have let them win a little more. Right from the very beginning, it was just Mustafa Ali screaming and yelling, screaming and yelling, screaming and yelling. It wasn't treated like a true legitimate faction. So maybe having them over on SmackDown and being like a Hurt Business type faction over there could have helped. I think would have been good. But so I would have said, just treat them like a traditional faction, get rid of the masks, let them just be who they are and see who emerges as stars. Yeah. Because a lot of time in those factions, you put the people together and somebody emerges as a star, just because of how they connect with the crowd, how they work within that faction. So that's what I would have done differently.
Is there any show or pay-per-view you wish you could go back and attend?
Oh my goodness. That's tough. Goodness. If I could have seen the streak being broken live, that would have been, and that was in New Orleans. I wasn't living in New Orleans at the time, but I moved to New Orleans, the New Orleans area a couple of years after that happened. So I would have loved to have been there for that. Just the shock moment. That would have been incredible. I'll have to think about that some more, but that's the first one that comes to my mind, is being there for that moment. Royal Rumble 2020, Edge's return. That is another one I wish I could have seen live.
I don't think I have too many from WWE, but I'll say the MSG show that they did for Ring of Honor and New Japan last year, the Supercard of Honor show. The G1 Supercard show. Would be my pick, because obviously everybody knows that I'm really big into New Japan and I cover their brand. So to see a lot of those wrestlers here in the United States and then also get to go to Madison Square Garden would have been really cool. So the G1 Supercard from WrestleMania 35 weekend, I think I got that right. It was in 2019. So yeah, that'd be one that stands out the most to me. That's a good question though. All right, let's put AEW to the side for this one. best place for Andrade to go to. I'll just say it again. It's New Japan. He has history with the group LIJ. They need a new member since Evil left to Bullet Club. So I think New Japan is the best place for Andrade.
Yeah, I like Andrade in New Japan. And really, if he goes to New Japan, he'll end up in AEW anyway. So, I mean, if we're being honest. So, that's a roundabout way of saying he'll end up in AEW.
It's a dirt cheap company. You can't blame them.
And especially when they're going to pay him a ton of money, because that's what Tony Khan does. It's like, you work for WWE? Here's $1 million.
And a title shot.
And yeah, right. No, I like Andrade in New Japan. I'll admit, Josh, I was sad when that didn't work out with them, because I think Andrade, especially in NXT, when he had those matches with Johnny Gargano, when he was Andrade Cien Almas, I thought those were just some incredible. I want to say, was it Philadelphia?
Yeah,
him and Johnny Gargano had that 15-minute match that was just incredible. A match of the year candidate, in my opinion.
Yes.
So I'm sad it didn't work out for him in WWE or NXT, but I'm excited for his future. But I like New Japan. I think that works well.
All right, next question. Is Great Khali in your mind being put in the Hall of Fame for being an attraction? Yeah, I think so. I mean, is he Hall of Fame worthy on the general sense of what he does in the ring? No, but for international purposes, I don't see it's a big issue, to be honest with you.
Yeah,
I saw the news and I was like, okay. For me, I thought the real cool news was the fact that Kane got hit, and I got to see that moment live on the bump with Undertaker celebrating his birthday and stuff. I just thought that was really good timing, and I just thought that was a really cool and special moment to see that. Both of those guys are a big part of my childhood as a wrestling fan. So to see King go in there, that was definitely well-deserved. And, of course, Brett Carter here as a director of operations mug. I mean, you do call him the director of operations, by the way.
That's right. That's right. I am the director of operations of the Hoots podcast and of the TVD Wrestling podcast. And if there's any podcast out there that needs a director of operations to make sure that everything runs smoothly and, the books are being taken care of and all that kind of good stuff, you just tap into Brother Carter. He's got you covered. But it is my podcasting gimmick as the director of operations. But
all right, next one. Do you like this idea of scrapping the Universal title and bring back the big gold belt? Yes, I would. I am not opposed to seeing the big gold belt because I'm just an old school wrestling fan in that sense. So yes, I would like to see the gold belt back.
Honestly, maybe, but I kind of like the idea of having two separate of the belt looking the same on both shows, because for a casual fan, it's easier for them to understand. Like when they see that belt, if they're just checking out Raw, like, okay.
Well, for me, when I see it now, it's like, okay, the Trout Chief just likes blue Jolly Ranchers now. Like when I see him hold the title, he's holding a blue Jolly Rancher.
I don't see it that way. But I get your point though, and the blue gold belt is historic, no question, and I think it's a great title. But I see why they're doing it, because again, if they're trying to tap into a casual fan and bring in new fans, shocking! What a concept! Let's try to attract new fans as opposed to targeting a set of internet marks that live in their parents' basement. So it's easy for a casual fan to see who the top person is, because the titles look the same.
All right, got a couple more questions for Chris, and then we'll move on to the next batch of questions. We have I don't know, 30 from Nate. I'm trying to.
Great. Hey, it's awesome.
Yeah,
shout out, Nate. Love it.
What do you think of Matt Riddle's U.S. title reign so far?
I love it. Riddle to me is one of the most entertaining parts of Raw every week. I laugh my ass off whenever he's on television. I know he's not everybody's cup of tea, but I love it, and I'm actually excited about. I think we're gonna get him versus Sheamus at Mania, and I'm looking forward to that. I think that's gonna be great. But I love it.
I think from an in-ring work, he's been doing a good job. I don't think anybody could take that away from him. He's one of the best wrestlers on the Raw roster. But There are times where he comes off like Jar Jar Binks of the WWE. Not that it's a bad thing. I know some people like Jar Jar Binks and some didn't. So whatever your taste is. Honestly, Matt Riddle reminds me of Jar Jar Binks. So that just comes on top of my head. And then
real quick, Josh, I know we need to move on.
Yeah, go ahead.
Within 2 years, will Matt Riddle be a world champion?
Yes.
I think so too.
All right, last question from Chris. He says, is Shotzi Blackheart due to win the NXT Women's title this year?
Yes. I love Shotzi Blackheart. She's one of my favorites on NXT. 100%.
Absolutely. Thank you, Chris, for the questions, good brother. I appreciate it. Next batch of questions coming from the good brother Sam Piopo at Second City Sam. He says, what is your favorite false finish of all time? Ooh. Man, that's hard to pick out.
Only one. Oh, there's only one for me, Josh, and that's the end of an era when Triple H hit the pedigree. Super kick into the pedigree, and Undertaker still kicked out. And Shawn's reaction, Triple H's reaction, that to me is number one.
Yeah, shit, that's a hard one to answer. There's a couple ones from New Japan that stand out to me as well. I even I just saw it over the weekend with the finals of the New Japan Cup with Ospreay and Shingo. That match was insane. Not necessarily that this is like a false finish, but like the ending for the CM Punk and Rock match from Royal Rumble 2013 is one that stands up on the top of my head. I really thought like Punk was going to beat him, and then the whole lights went out and all that extra stuff went on after the fact with Vince coming out and et cetera, et cetera. So, I have to agree with you. The WrestleMania 28 moment is definitely one that stands out from the rest. Absolutely. All right, next question. Favorite memory of the first 250 episodes of this podcast? Wow. I definitely have to say the first couple editions of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW when we first started doing this.
That was mine too. That's mine too.
Like the original editions of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW is some of the most funniest stuff I ever done in podcasting, especially our first reaction to the song that we're using. That was perfect too. So there was one time we were doing the show and Brother Carlos driving in his car, and we were doing a What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. So that was great. I'm glad that he did not get into a crash that day. Knock on wood.
I think I did that show, Josh, when I was in my move to Colorado. I want to say I was driving on my way to Colorado and I was doing that show there. But yeah, it's funny, Josh. I was thinking about that this week as I knew we were getting ready to record 50. What are some of my favorite moments of our time together as podcasting? I would say my top three, and a couple of these are not with the Hoots podcast, but they're with people that we know that are associated with the Hoots podcast, because I hear more about the people. For me, my top three moments, number 3 was the debate. I know that was a pipe bomb episode, but that was a lot of fun with me. Number 2 was coming up with Mitchell Lukewarm. That's still to me one of the fun. And for me, the number 1 is our initial AEW. What the hell is wrong with AEW? I mean, I was crying laughing the first time we did that segment. It was great.
There's a couple other ones from Adam that stand out to me when we were doing the show together. Obviously, Dotson 9-year-old. Shout out to my niece AJ. She was a great part of the podcast as well. So she's definitely on there on the list.
Well, she is on the list. Oh, there's no doubt she's on the list.
There was an episode that we did with Matt. Where Matt was on his porch or something at his house, and I heard this jingle in the background. It's they call it the sea owl horn, and I was just dying laughing. I'm we're in a serious conversation about something going on or whatever, and I hear da 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 da. And I'm like, what the fuck is going on here? It's like I felt like I was smoking something. So like I don't know. that one really popped me that day. It was great.
Matt's bringing that up in the comment section. I'm noticing.
Yes, that was a great moment. And then I remember there was a time where we were when I first started doing the Yacht Club. If you guys don't know what the Yacht Club was you're a Nimrod club, and that's when I really first got to lay into Dave Seltzer and Brianna Alvarez. So that was a lot of fun.
I think they're the first members of the Hall of Fame of the Yacht Club.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. They have their own wing.
Yes, and rightfully so.
Yes, absolutely. Next question. He says, if you can only listen to one song for the rest of your life, what song are you picking? Oh man, that's hard.
Boy.
I'd probably pick the song that just represents me the most, and that's Sky's the Limit by Notorious B.I.G. So that'd be my pick.
Oh, man. I don't know, man. That's tough because there's so many, I have so many songs from so many different eras. I mean, gosh, I don't know if I can answer that, man. I just, that's tough. I'll let that one marinate a little bit. Sorry about that. Nate, I'm going to have to let that one marinate.
Mm-hmm. All right. Next one. Are you worried about Eloy Jimenez's inability to stay healthy? I am. I just wish the team would get to the decision where the White Sox just keep him as a designated hitter and keep him out of the outfield so he avoids these injuries. Shout out to you, Drew. Thanks for checking out the show, bro. I appreciate it, man. Thank you. Eloy, I just wish he was out of the outfield. He's a great player. Just keep him at DH. That'd be my only thing. Here's a funny one. Is there anything in your eyes for the Bears fans to look forward to next season? Oh shit.
They're not going to be the Houston Texans. It could be as bad as the Texans. I
want to see from the recent draft picks if they can really be the cornerstone guys, because the first batch of guys in Ryan Pace era was not the guys that they were supposed to lean on, like the Kevin Whites of the world or Leonard Floyd, et cetera, et cetera. I'd like to see what we get from Cole Kmet and Darnell Mooney and Jalen Johnson, and the list goes on and on. But like, I just get a kick out of here. Like, oh, we just replaced anybody. We replaced Mitch Trubisky with anybody. We're just a Super Bowl contender. I just laugh at that. I really do. I don't care if people are upset with the fact that I support Mitch Trubisky since the time he got here, and I don't think he's the worst quarterback of all time. I'm sorry. I don't care what you think about Mitch Trubisky. I've watched football my entire life, and I've seen way worse quarterbacks than him. So, and this city has no right or barometer to gauge what a good quarterback is, because we wouldn't know a good quarterback in Chicago if it slapped us in the face. Let's just be honest, okay? Right. So, like, there's not really much to look forward to be honest with you. Like, I really don't know. I feel like the team is spinning their wheels at this point, and it's just really frustrating,
Josh, you said themselves though. I mean, they've made the playoffs last two out of the last 3 years or something like that. I mean, they could very easily make the playoffs again. Like, we've seen moments of brilliance with Andy Dalton, and maybe just a restart and an opportunity to be a starter. The switch will flip and he can go. I mean, look at what happened to Ryan Tannehill. Like, how long was he in the league? Like 7 or 8 years. And then the switch finally flipped, and he was just a machine. Yeah. So some people are late bloomers, and maybe that will be Andy Dalton. You just never know with the NFL, and that's what I think a lot of people forget about the NFL, is that you just never know. I mean, there's surprises every year in the league. In any professional sport, there are surprises. So that's why we watch. That's why we keep coming back.
Right. I'm just waiting for the moment where Nick Foles gets traded back to the Eagles. That's going to happen.
Of course it is.
All right, how about this one? Next question from Sammy says, if you could tell Dave Meltzer and Brian Alvarez one thing straight to their face, what would it be? Oh, God. I could spend 40 minutes on this.
Here's what it is.
Go ahead.
Just enjoy the product. You're lifelong fans. How about you quit being bitches about everything and enjoy the product?
Going back to the last question, Matt says if Ryan Fitzpatrick can still play at a high level, so can Dalton. We'll see. Again, I don't think Andy Dalton's a bad quarterback. It's just like the narrative around the team that just doesn't make sense to me. Like Andy Dalton's going to put you in the same position as Mitch was last year.
What if Chicago drafts a quarterback and he ends up being fantastic?
Right. Exactly.
You just never know.
All right, next question.
Hold on. What would you say to Meltzer? Do you have a thought on that?
For me, it'd just be like, do you feel like you've actually done anything to benefit the long-term future of the wrestling industry? And I'll leave it at that.
Yep. I like it.
I mean, there's really nothing else that needs to be said with those two morose assholes. Their track record speaks for itself. It's crazy that certain people could brainwash people's thoughts on professional wrestling, but that's where we are in this society. And for rare people put those two guys on the pedestal and act like their stuff's the gospel. And I think they've done more damage to wrestling fans and the wrestling industry more than anybody in the wrestling industry. So I have no respect for those guys. I haven't for a long time, and I'm not going to sugarcoat things or try to backpedal or whatever. Like, you know, they paint a bad picture of what I do for a living and the field that I'm in. So no, just because they're the top dogs doesn't mean I'm going to be scared to call them out on their bullshit. Making subtle references to racism like Dave Meltzer does, or Brian Alvarez belittling the level of Roman Reigns' leukemia. I have no respect for that. I'll never have any respect for that. So you guys could get on their nutsack about how great they are dirt sheet wise and them being in the AEW booking committee. I have no respect for them. I don't. Next question. What WrestleMania match have you so hyped but never lived up to expectations? That's a good one. I like that one. What you got?
Man, that's tough. Gosh. I'm gonna have to think about this. Maybe Brock Lesnar and Dean Ambrose from Mania 32.
I know Matt hates that one too. I think.
Maybe. Oh, gosh. I'll say that one for now. I'm sure there's a better answer. I'm gonna have to think about this for a few
You know what's shitty about that match, Rick Carter? I was obviously doing the article right as it was happening. My freaking network feed cut out the entire.
Oh no!
Yeah, that one had a lot of hype.
Yeah, it did, and it just.
By the way, don't you notice that every time Jon Moxley is in a really hyped up match in the pay-per-view, it just doesn't seem to deliver the way you think it should?
Mm-hmm.
Just throwing it out there. I'm just throwing it out there.
Matt,
hey, he's number one. He's the number one wrestler in the world. Oh, right.
Oh, Lord.
Okay. For me, shit. I think the first Bray Wyatt Randy Orton match. I was really excited for that one in WrestleMania 33. I was there with Matt to watch it in person. Not that the match was bad. I know a lot of people made a big old bugaboo about the projected like spiders and stuff in the ring and blah blah blah. But like, I don't know. I just feel like they were kind of like stuck with the fact that WrestleMania was a launch show, and being there in person, I felt like people were sitting their hands. So like, I was really hyped for that match. I really thought it was going to steal the show because I really loved the story they had going into that match. But for whatever reason, it just felt flat to people, and I don't know why. Like, I watched the match back a couple of times over the years, and I thought the match versus was fine, but like, That one had a lot of hype, and I decided it didn't hit the mark it needed to.
Yeah.
And then I guess you could say Triple H and Randy Orton, but I mean, again, they got stuck with Undertaker and Shawn Michaels had one of the best wrestling matches of all time. Forget WrestleMania matches; they had one of the best wrestling matches of all time. So like that's when we go back earlier talking about like going last at WrestleMania or what's the marquee title match. I think the best matches happen when it happens. You can't project what that is.
Sure.
That's just my opinion.
Of course.
That's a good question, though, Sam. I like that one. He says, when's the next time we're doing the catch-up session? Love you, man. Congrats on 250. We'll do it soon, man. I'll hit you up and see what your schedule is, and we'll make it work, man. So definitely going to do that. All right. That's the questions from Sam. You want to go to the questions from Nate?
Let's do it. Let's do it.
We're gonna do Nate, and then I have two questions, sentimental ones from referee Tony, that we're gonna wrap it up with. So, okay. So, shout out to everybody who's been watching this. By the way,
absolutely.
It really means a lot. Here we go. Ooh, do you think reincarnation is a thing? If so, what's one thing you can't wait to experience for the first time again? I believe in God. I believe in faith. For me, it's something that I really don't think about because it's something I just don't want in my head. I guess it's something where we just have to let it happen and see what happens. It's not something I really try to think about too much. I know we do think about it sometime every other day because we don't know what's happening. But like, I would like to think and hope that there is another round in this after whatever this cycle is we're in. But like, I don't know, it just has to play out and see what happens. That's how I look at it.
Yeah, I'm the same with you, Josh. I believe God has a plan for our lives, and I'm very adamant about that. I mean, I wish that there were some things that I could go back on my life, and if I knew now what I knew, if I knew then what I know now, I would have taken things, done things a little bit differently. But that's also how we grow. That's also how we get better. By nobody ever grows by having success. They grow by having failure, and so that's how we learn. That's how we get better. We make mistakes. We learn from them, and we go from there. So, but it's I echo all your sentiments about that, and people always, or I say always, but I've been asked before, do you have any major regrets in your life? And you always have regrets, but then they say, well, do you wish you could change anything? And I say no, because every experience I've had, both positive and negative, have led me to who I am at this moment right now.
Absolutely,
and that's how we get better, and that's how we grow, and I just hope to be able to do that.
Next question. Favorite burger you've ever had? Oh, that's a good question.
Ooh.
I have two. One in Orlando. Mark Wahlberg's family has a burger chain called Wahlburgers. I had it when I was in Orlando. It was fantastic. And then there's one here in Chicago called Lockdown that had good burgers as well. It's like a metalish, like I wouldn't call it a dive bar, but it's just like a general like rock bar place, and they had some really good food there. So those are the two that stand out. What about you, Brother Carter?
One of the best burgers I've ever had. There's a small little chain in Texas called Hop Dotties, and they make this they call it a Llano burger. And it's got they cook it real. They've got poblano peppers on there, this special kind of sauce.
Yeah,
they have truffle fries that come with it. And then they brew their own beer in-house. So everybody check out Hop Dotties. They have some in Austin and Dallas, Houston. If you're in the Texas area, go to Hop Dotties. It's amazing. Fast food burger, best one I've ever had, and people will fight me on this, Whataburger. It's a Southern chain.
I never had it.
Oh, my God. It's amazing. It takes In-N-Out to school, and I will fight anybody that says otherwise. I know if you're listening on the West Coast, you probably got In-N-Out bias, but I'm telling you, Whataburger is the best fast food burger of all time. Period. The end.
A good burger or a good Philly cheesesteak is probably one I would go to first. Like meals are concerned, like a good, even like a chicken Philly sandwich would be good too.
If at some point, if I ever make it up to Philly, Matt's gonna have to tell us where to go. And I've been told it's not Pat's or Geno's. I heard that those are just gimmicks.
We definitely got to make the voyage out there sooner or later.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Happen. All right, next question. Favorite vacation you ever been on? I have an interesting answer, but you can go first if you want.
Well, I will say when I was in college, actually, I just graduated from college. I got to spend 3 weeks in Europe with my friends at the University of Texas, and it was an incredible. I got to see several different countries. We traveled a lot, and it was amazing. I got to see London and Paris and Switzerland and Luxembourg. It was Spain. It was just an incredible time, and so I would say those 3 weeks were some of the best 3 weeks I've ever had.
Let me read a couple comments here in this section. He said, Brett says, Senor Benjamin, prepare the battlefield for massacre. Yeah! Matt says, In-N-Out fans are like Meltzer marks. Yes, I agree with that. I had In-N-Out when I was in San Jose. Not too good. And Matt said, whenever, boys. Yes, we could definitely go up to Philly. That absolutely. My favorite vacation, I have two of them. One was the San Jose trip where I got to cover WrestleMania for the first time in the media. I was just finishing my time at the Illinois Center for Broadcasting, and to have that opportunity to have like a media pass and credentials at that young of an age, to have that opportunity, I'm very, very grateful for it. I had it for my old radio show that I was doing at the time, and very proud of that time period. So it was also my first time ever having a business trip, Brother Carter. So that's why it really stands out to me. Personally, my trip to Oviedo is my favorite vacation because I found myself that weekend. Regardless of what happened, I mentioned this before on the podcast. People ask, like, what was one of your favorite days of your life? It's literally that weekend, that experience, because I found out who I was. I found my worth. I found who I am, and nothing anybody could say about me has any bearing on what I am or what I can do in the future. Or like, I know I'm good enough for me, and I think that's a very important thing that stands out to me from that trip, is because when I was with Lauren, I had all the weight of the world off my shoulders. I was finally set free and having that freedom feeling, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's why it's my favorite vacation personally. So
good for you, brother. Awesome.
All right, next question. Favorite Chicago sports stadium? I'll answer this one. It's definitely not the Jimmy Neutron stadium. So yeah, that definitely not it. I'd probably say either the United Center or Guaranteed Rate Field. That'd be my pick. I'll be honest with you guys. I think Wrigley Field is definitely overrated.
Is it worth seeing one time just to say that you've been?
If you want to see what it is in the area of it, yes, I definitely say come see it. But if you're living here, it's not something that I have to go to Wrigley Field. Yeah.
And I think that's a lot of if for people that live near big cities, it's you take it for granted. Like when I was living near New Orleans, I had a great time in New Orleans whenever I would go. But like when you go multiple times, you're just like, it loses its luster after a while, you know. So I certainly understand. I'd love to see Wrigley Field just one time to say that I've been, you know.
All right, next question. Favorite meal your mom made for you? Wow, that's a good question. Very good question. I'll go first. Shout out to Pat. Congrats on the 250. I see you, man. Thank you. Matt said he's heard that they have the best water parks in LA. I gotta check that out for myself. To be honest with you, I like water parks.
Is he talking about water parks or waterfalls?
Let's have both. Like you can indulge in both if you want. But Brett, we'll get to Britt Baker's promo later on in the AEW segment, so keep on hold on for that. Favorite meal for me is definitely got to be steak and pierogies. It's my favorite meal my mom made for me. Yeah.
Okay. I'm going to get two here because I've been blessed with both a wonderful mother and a wonderful stepmother. So I've been very fortunate to have both.
Yeah.
My mom is Canadian, and so me being from Canada, and she would make homemade pierogies that was passed down from Ukrainians' grandmothers. So that was, oh my God, those were amazing. And then my stepmom owns a catering business, and she makes this King Ranch chicken that is out of this world.
Yeah.
So I would say pierogies from my mom and King Ranch chicken from my stepmom.
For me, pierogi is like my favorite side dish. I can have it anytime I want.
100%. Good call, man.
Yeah.
Do they have a good pierogi place in Chicago?
They do. They got a lot of good places. I don't have the specific restaurant name at the top of my head, but they sell a lot of good pierogies here in the city. We have like a big Polish community here in Chicago. We have a lot of people from Ukraine. Actually, from where I'm born, I'm in the middle of West Town in Ukrainian Village in the city of Chicago. So that's where I was born. So,
Nice.
good pierogies. Pierogies is another branch in the waterfall tree, in case anybody is wondering. That's what they look like. I mean, let's call it a spade. But yes, I could go and chomp down on any pierogies that I want. Yes.
I'm sure you could, Brother Adam. I'm sure you could.
One thing has never changed about the Hoots podcast. We are non-filtered.
This is true. Yeah. That is very true. Yeah.
Yes, Brett, waterfalls are reserved for Mickey James. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, don't even start. Don't do it. Come on, Kellerman. Don't do it.
I'm sorry. We'll get into it. We'll get into it. I mean, I still would sell my soul to Alexa Bliss, but that's another story for another time.
Which is better and why? Pancakes or waffles?
Ooh. I like waffles because you can put the syrup in the little crevices and just enjoy more of the syrup that way. So I'll say waffles, but I love pancakes too. Don't get me wrong.
This is a little something that you guys may not know about me. I can't stand the taste of syrup.
Oh, wow. I didn't know that.
Or the smell of it. Like, I don't know. It's kind of weird when you have like pancakes or waffles and you just like smell like syrup later on in the day. I don't know what it is about it. It's like for me, I'm a pancake guy, so definitely I'd say pancakes over waffles, but that'd be my pick. Yeah. Let's go to the next set here from Nate. He says, what would you say to someone who is scared to try new things? Take a step back and tell yourself that no matter what, as long as you have yourself, it doesn't matter what anybody says or thinks about you. That'd be what I would think.
Yeah, I mean, it's by and large, it's try if you really feel like you can. I mean, just try something one time and it'll help you grow. And if you don't like it, you can say, well, I had that experience and I'll never have that experience again. So by and large, I mean, and I'm thinking more in terms of food or experiences. Yeah. I don't. Those are the kinds of things I'm thinking of. But try it once, and if you at the end of the day, if you say I don't like it, cool. And if you end up saying, wow, that actually worked out pretty well, then you just grow and have a new avenue of things that you like.
All right, next question here. He says, what is a match you show someone who has never seen MLW before? That's a great question. I'll answer that since I do MLW.
Yep.
Definitely say check out any matches with Alexander Hammerstone. Definitely say check out the stuff from the Opera Cup that they had this year. Filthy Tom Lawler against Loki was a fantastic match. Leo Rush against Myron Reed. There's a lot of good action from MLW. I really enjoy their show. A lot of times it's definitely more enjoyable to sit there and cover the show than AEW. But I want to give a shout out to Court and everybody from MLW because they do a great job. And they got Alicia too. I mean, they got the prize. Yes. All right. Let's see. Next one. Who would you have be the centerpiece of New Japan for the next year? That's a good question. I'd definitely say either Jay White or Shingo Takagi. As much as I like Will Ospreay as a wrestler, I hate his group. I hate the Great Khan. I think he sucks. The Empire is a lame ass group. Just to be honest with you guys, yeah. So I'd probably say Jay White or Shingo Takagi. That'd be my pick. Next one. Do you like how Takeover and Mania are shaping up right now? Go ahead, Brother Carter.
I do. I think that WWE, someone mentioned earlier, trying new things for the first time. I think WWE may have something with this 2-night WrestleMania thing. You can, especially with so much talent on the card. The WWE rosters on both shows are just stacked. So you can do an NXT Friday night and then 2 nights of Mania. I think that's a great idea. And the people will not get worn out. They won't be burned out after 5 hours of a show. You can sell in a normal year. You can sell twice as many tickets, and it's not like they're not going to have the building reserved for that amount of time anyway. So I love how this year's WrestleMania is shaping up. I think both nights are going to be terrific. I think some more matches are going to be added. I'm really looking forward to the Takeover show that's going to happen. I think it's going to be a great weekend of wrestling.
I'm very excited, and I'm also excited to tell everybody that I'm going to WrestleMania.
Yeah, are you really? Oh, that's awesome, Josh. I didn't know that.
I'm very lucky. Timing in life comes at very good times for me sometimes, and I was mentioning to Brett Carter I was doing taxes yesterday before.
Yeah, it's true.
And my stimulus check came in after the fact, so I'm taking the opportunity to make up for what I missed out last year and use my stimulus money, and I'm going to Tampa for WrestleMania. So I'm very, very excited. It's gonna be a quick in and out trip for me because I probably want to take a longer vacation, maybe sometime in the summer after my birthday. But I'll probably be something like I'm there Friday, then leave on Monday. So that's where my head's at. I need to get out of the city. I need to clear my head for what I've been dealing with. Brian Carlos, what I'm talking about. So I just need to clear my head from that stuff. And this will be a good time. So I'm really excited to go down there. Question for Matt. He says, when do we see the Demon next? Do you favor Balor bringing out the character to combat Killer Cross? For me personally, I would not be opposed to it. But it looks like Finn personally is just disinterested from the concept of and the process that goes into painting himself that way. And I mean, for artists, I guess you can get to that certain part. I mean, there's artists that don't like playing certain songs for certain albums after a while. Bands don't like to play the same songs a gazillion times. Like I remember Glenn Frey saying, if I had to play Take It Easy one more time, my head's gonna explode. So it happens. But if it was up to me, I would love to see the Demon pop up against Cross, because Cross is a character that could mesh well with the Demon persona. So I like it.
Yeah, I agree. I do think though that if you're gonna do the Demon, you've got to do it in front of fans. You can't and I don't think Takeover is being live. I think Takeover is still in the
both will be live.
What's that?
No, they'll both be live. It's live on USA, and then they're doing it on the network the next night.
Sorry, I meant with fans. Are there going to be fans in attendance?
They have them inside the.
I know they have them inside the wrestling center, but I meant like at a show, like at a typical show, like Mania is going to be this year with live fans. I think that's when you have to do the Demon again, because it'll get a bigger reaction. So if you're going to do it, you've got to wait until there's a live people in attendance, like in a traditional venue. I think.
Let's see. Let's do the next one. Does Riddle do anything for you? I'm becoming more disconnected from him every week. Nate the Great says. Like I mentioned earlier, is there times where I think he comes off like Jar Jar Binks and too goofy at times? Sure, but I like what he does in the ring, and so that for me, he's not a burden for me to watch or sit through on WWE programs. So I'll say that.
I love Riddle, and I've said this earlier in the cast. I think he's hilarious. When he's with R-Truth, it's great. When he's with the New Day, it's great. His little promo with Shinsuke Nakamura at Fastlane, I thought was hilarious. So I'm all in on Matt Riddle. I think he's just truly fantastic, and I think he's going to be world champion within 2 years.
Thoughts on Andrade's release? I'll let you answer this one.
Yeah, I was sad when Andrade was released. I think that he is an incredible talent. I think he has some great matches with Johnny Gargano and NXT. I never thought he was used properly on the main roster. His feud with Angel Garza never really panned out, and what he was doing. I know he was a U.S. champion, and that's great, but something didn't really click with him on the main roster. So I was sad in a way to see him go, that it didn't work out, but he has an incredibly bright future, and I think that he's going to land on his feet and be just fine.
Will Aleister Black be next? I don't know. If he does, yes, I would like to see him in New Japan. Nate, I would like to see that, but I'm not going to come here and make any assumptions. I don't know what's going with him personally. I know obviously people want to jump to conclusions and say it's just because Selena got fired or whatever. I don't know if he's injured. I don't know what the situation is with Aleister Black, but hopefully there's some resolution to this, and we'll see what happens. So I hope he's not getting released.
Yeah, me neither. I think creative just might not have anything. Maybe they'll reboot him and do something with him after WrestleMania. You never know. I also read that he's dealing with some injuries right now, so just trying to recover from those as well.
Let's see what's next. What works better, face versus face or heel versus heel matches?
Ooh. I think it's face versus face because they seem more real. Like it's two people that are trying to, for whatever reason, they're trying to one up each other. Maybe because they just got thrown in this situation, and you can sort of see a little bit hints at being heel personalities coming out. So I think face versus face matches work a lot better than heel versus heel, because in heel for heel you don't know who to cheer for. Like you hope that they both lose.
Right.
So kind of like AEW every week. Go ahead.
Exactly. Yes. Yeah, I feel like I kind of jaded towards heel versus heel because I see it all the time on AEW and New Japan. So it's like, oh, okay, I know we're gonna have sloppy brawl around the ringside. So those matches are kind of harder to transcribe, to be honest with you. Because like, for me, I want to make the transcript be like a theater of mind, so you can visually see through the article of what the match was without you going out of the way to watch. So that's how I like space out the paragraphs and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And I definitely say face versus face is a better match to watch and sit through and process as well. So,
well, in AEW, you have no idea who the faces are and who the heels are. Like it changes every week.
No, you don't. All right. Why do you think WWE chose to keep Jordan Devlin employed and let him keep the title after being outed as an abuser? A baffling decision, if you ask me. They released Travis Banks for the same reason, but he's 10 times as talented as Devlin. If there was full concrete evidence that Devlin was on the abuse list, he would have been fired. I've really paid close attention to when that Speak Out movement came out, and nothing came out to concrete with Jordan Devlin, so he would have been fired. I just think it's kind of harsh to put him in that box. Like, again, for me, I would never make any excuses or validate anybody that would make that stupid decision. Two things for me that really bother me the most in this world is racism and hitting women or doing anything to degrade women. So I take that very seriously. And for me, I think it's unfair to put that on Jordan Devlin because nothing fully concrete ever came out in that light. So yeah. People have their accusations, people have their assumptions, but nothing really came out in full light. So
right, I agree with you, Josh. I cannot stand either of those two things either. There will never be a place in this world for racism or for mistreatment of women. That's just there's never a place in this world for that. You just have to be very careful because it's also with social media these days, and so it's so easy for somebody to just blast somebody, and when they didn't, just because they were mad at them for whatever reason, they make up a story, and then all of a sudden that person's career is ruined. You see it all the time, and when they just spread these rumors and and they just say, "Oh, I didn't really want all this to happen. I was just mad." But then, as soon as that label is attached to that person, there's a negative stigma attached to them that you just can't help but have. So it's just a very tricky situation.
Favorite gimmick match of the past decade?
Oh,
it's definitely the Elimination Chamber for me.
Yeah, I mean, I like the Elimination Chamber. I think that it adds another level of things. I definitely like that. I'm gonna say the Boneyard match from Mania 37. That was something special, and like that truly put cinematic matches as a part of what WWE can do going forward. So I'm gonna say the Boneyard match was amazing.
Yeah, I want to give a shout out to good brother Anthony Stefano at Game Event. Appreciate you, good brother.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes, the best promotion going around right now in wrestling is GOW. Kurt Ratner equals ratings, pal. Don't forget about that. Josh Matthews wishes he could have half the charisma that Kurt Ratner has. That's just a goddamn truth. Oh man, I love GOW. Make sure to check out Ant's Twitch channel, by the way. He does some really good shit there. So he said Jordan Devlin equals Balor with a Minecraft head. Yes, yes, he does. Oh my god. Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, check out GOW. You guys haven't watched it. It's a lot of fun. You guys definitely check it out. All right, let's see. Next question. Who was the biggest star to come out of WCW? It was Disco Inferno.
Oh, that's great. Oh my god. For me, it was Booker T. I think Booker T is the biggest star to ever come out of W. If we're being legit, answer the question, I would say Booker T for sure. I think that how he made the transition to WWE and went over, became a Hall of Famer and all that stuff. I would definitely say Booker T is the biggest star to ever come out of WCW.
I'm gonna go Chris Jericho, despite how much I just over him and his Axl Rose stick that he's doing right now. I'm not a fan of what he's doing right now in AEW. I've been very consistent and clear with that. So yeah, I think Chris Jericho's the biggest star to come out of WCW. All right, next question. Who's the biggest star to come out of Lucha Underground? Oh shit.
I'll let you take that one since you watch. You cover Lucha Underground, or
yeah, I covered every episode of Lucha Underground. Man, there's a couple. I mean, despite what Ricochet's been through over the last year or so, WWE, he's definitely up there on the list. I think Lucha Underground really reinvented John Morrison's career, so I'd probably say John Morrison is my pick for Lucha Underground. You could say Phoenix too if you want, but yeah, I think John Morrison would be my pick on that end. Yeah, so
cool.
Next one. Do you like Rhea Ripley getting a title match right away? Go ahead, brother Carter.
Okay. And this is one of the things that I wanted to talk about. And I've actually, and Josh, you and I have texted about this, and I've mentioned this on the Thoughts of Dericho a few times recently. First thing I'll say is I love that Rhea Ripley's getting a title shot. I think she deserves it. I think Rhea Ripley is one of the foremost. She's in my top 5 female wrestlers in the world. I actually have her at number 4 in my top female wrestlers in the world. I think she's absolutely incredible, and she deserves this opportunity. That being said, I still think this says a lot about the direction of the Raw Women's Division, and I don't like the direction of the Raw Women's Division right now. You've got all this talent that is currently on the roster, but Asuka hasn't been in a real feud in any of 2021. She hasn't been in a real feud. So what does that say about that? And then you have people like Shayna Baszler, Shayna Baszler, Charlotte Flair. And I know Charlotte's dealing with COVID issues right now, but you have her. I'd even say, Mandy Rose is kind of take a bit of a nosedive, but I think she's fantastic when given the opportunity to shine. So you've got all this talent. Dana Brooke, I still think Dana Brooke is an underutilized talent as well. I think she's a total package, and if used correctly, she could be terrific. But you've got all this talent on the Raw women's roster, and it's being pushed aside, and you have to bring up Rhea Ripley to challenge for that title. So that says a lot about the direction of the Raw women's division, not the talent, but the direction of where it goes. So that's the issue that I have, is how creative is using the Raw women's division. That they have to bring up Rhea Ripley, who again is deserving. Don't get me wrong, but she comes in day one, gets a title shot. So that's my issue.
For me, with it being the show. If it was something like she just came up and oh my god, title shot like Backlash or something, I would probably be like, okay, it's a little too much too soon. For me personally, I wanted Rhea Ripley to debut after WrestleMania, not just bring her in because no, I don't want to see Asuka and Charlotte again. I'm sorry, guys. Me and Britta Carter were there in New Orleans for their first match. It was one of the best women's wrestling matches I've ever seen in my entire life.
Yes.
Like, people like skew whoever won the match as to whether being it good or bad. I just think that's dumb. Like,
yes.
Yeah, you could have won Asuka to beat Charlotte at WrestleMania. That doesn't mean the match wasn't good. Or even last year for Charlotte beating Rhea Ripley at last year's WrestleMania. That was one of the best matches of the entire show. And it was a bad match because Charlotte beat Rhea Ripley. Like, come on, man. I hate that aspect of wrestling talk. I really do. Because you just discredit the work that these two performers are doing in the ring just because, your person didn't win a match. Okay. Like, I don't know.
You know what? If you want to get everything that you want as an internet wrestling fan, boy, have we got the wrestling promotion for you.
Oh, yes. Do you think Roderick Strong goes back to the mid card after this Undisputed Era angle's over with?
I hope not, because I love Roderick Strong, and I hope not, because I think he's absolutely fantastic. And you knew the Undisputed Era was going to break up at some point, but
yeah,
I hope not. I'd love to see him at least get another North American championship run. I think that'd be great.
Right. Let's see. There we go. We got 3 more sets of questions here for Nate, then we'll get to the final 2 from Tony. All right.
You got it.
What is your favorite memory from your childhood? Oh man. I think for me was getting to play on the stage of the Chicago Sympathy Orchestra when I was in the All City Jazz Band, elementary jazz band, actually. I got to do that when I was in 7th grade, so that was a really cool experience. I got to do concerts at Navy Pier, the Harold Washington Library, the Chicago Symphony Orchestra Hall. What else? The Pritzker Pavilion stage right by the Bean. You know, they have like the little concert setup right there in Millennium Park. So I got to play on that stage before. And then we did like a festival at the United Center too. So I think just that time period when I was younger, really doing a lot of the music stuff, I was really at the top. I wouldn't say I was at the top of my game, but like just getting to that grip of playing guitar and doing what I love about music, that's what that really stands out the most to me.
Yeah, no, those are all great. I would probably say my time, my undergraduate degree at the University of Texas, I got to do some pretty cool things when I was there. I got to travel a lot. I got to be there when Texas won the national championship against USC back in 2005. That was really, really cool moment. I don't have a lot of just like wow moments from when I was before I got to college. I mean, it was fine. I made things work, but so I would probably say, just as I was finishing up my time in college, getting to see Texas win the national championship in person was pretty damn cool.
Yes. All right, let's see what's the next question here. Nate asked, what wrestler was there when you needed someone to talk to? Oh man. I have 2 for my family. It's definitely my grandpa and my nanny who passed away 11 years ago. My nanny was the matriarch from my mom's side of the family. I mentioned this before to my friends and stuff that when I grew up, I had where I was living, my block was filled with mostly my mom's side of the family. And my nanny and my grandpa lived next door to us most of my life. And I always go to her as far as like if I needed to be like reshape my focus, if I needed to vent about something, I could always go to her and stuff. And I think my grandpa's also been there for me too as well. So those two really stand out. Obviously, I think it's by default by saying your parents, obviously, because they're there for a reason. But I just thought it would have been too much of the easy of an answer. Uh, I thank my mom and dad for being there for me when I need them. Has everything always been easy? No, but for me, I definitely say my grandpa than my nanny who passed away in 2005. So.
Oh, great answers. Great answers. I've been very fortunate and blessed over the years to have a number of friends, and I'm very, very fortunate that I'm an outgoing person, and I love talking to people and meeting people and just being around people. That gives me energy. I wouldn't say that I'm an extrovert, but I'm kind of an extroverted introvert, if that makes sense. Like when I'm in person, I can go and just put on a show and be entertaining and be social and stuff. But then I need to just take a moment to recharge. So I've just been fortunate over the years to have a number of wonderful friends that I can go to talk about any issues. My parents, of course, would be included on that list. I mean, it's too many to name here, to be perfectly honest with you. And I'm very fortunate in that regard to have a number of people I can just call and be like, hey man, I'm struggling a little bit. So yeah, let's talk about that. So I'm very fortunate in that regard.
Oh man. All right, let's do this next one here. What was your favorite and least favorite subject in school?
Oh boy.
My least favorite will surprise you with what I do. It was English class. I sucked at it when I was younger. I'll just be frank with you guys. I sucked. I couldn't come up with a congruent paragraph to save my life when I was growing up. I did start to appreciate writing and like English until I was like almost done with high school, and we had this little course called Word Smart, and they show us a bunch of like extraneous and different level of high quality different like words and stuff like that. I think that also kind of helped me become a better broadcaster, was that Word Smart book. So I did gain something from going to a charter high school back then. So least favorite was definitely English. My favorite subject, I think you guys would assume it'd be music, but that was just a side hobby for me to do at the time. My favorite subject was math because that's what I was good at.
Josh, I have the exact same answers as you, my friend. I loved math growing up. I was a math person, and then music, of course. That ended up becoming my career, which is a wonderful thing. My least favorite subject was English too. Well, it's because I had to write about something that I just read, and I'm not good at that. Like I just like I like reading books that are about subjects that are interesting to me, and then taking that knowledge and being able to apply it. And much like you, now once I've gone through graduate school, I feel like I'm a lot better at writing and using the English language and versed in words and my vocabulary and that sort of thing. But growing up, loved math, hated English.
All right, next one. Nate asks, has your life gone at all how you thought it would? I say yes to a certain extent. I'm very fortunate with the stuff I've been able to do in my life. I'm turning 27 in May, so I can also realize that sometimes I don't feel like I need to rush myself into certain positions where I don't need to. Like, I don't need to put as much pressure as I do on myself. It's something that I've realized over the last couple of months, and understanding that, appreciate every day. Like, you're not turning 30 tomorrow. Like, you're doing what you need to do. You got your own apartment. You're doing things on your own terms. You're doing things on the right path. So, like, for me, I am a goal-oriented person. There's levels and places I want to reach in my life, and I will get to that point one day. I definitely will get to that. But as far as like everything is concerned in the whole context of this life, I think it has gone to what I thought it was going to be, because I was never naive to think that bad things would never come to my life. I was born partially deaf. I had tubes down my ears for the first 2 years of my life. Think about that. I could have been really permanently damaged from that. I overcame it. I was lucky I didn't have spectrums of autism. I got to avoid that as well. There's been a lot of obstacles that I've overcome in my life, even with all the stuff I've been able to accomplish. Being a survivor of divorced parents and a bunch of other shit and stuff. It's like for me, I'm very grateful for the life I've had so far, and for me, I'm just more motivated to take myself to the next level. That's where my head is at right now. So yeah, I definitely say my life is gone as how I thought it would be.
I have to answer that question. It's a very much a, oh hell no. I never in a million years thought I would be where I am, and it's just, Nick Saban in his book How Good Do You Want to Be says you have to accept that you never know where life is going to take you, and that's so true. I mean, I think back on crossroads in my life, and if I had gone one way, would I be in this moment? If this had happened, would I be here? So I never thought that a kid from Kimberley, British Columbia, Canada, small little mountain town with 7,000 people, would eventually live in Texas, Oklahoma, Louisiana, now Colorado. And, I never in a million years thought that this is where my life would take me. And as I've said before, I wouldn't have traded these experiences for anything. I've had the highest of highs. I've had the lowest of lows, as we all do. And it makes you grow. It makes you better. And I wouldn't have changed my journey for anything. I really wouldn't. Well, no, I mean, there's always a couple things where you wish, okay, maybe just a small little thing I wish I wouldn't have done. But by and large, 90% of my journey, I wouldn't change for anything.
All right, let's move on. How much do you love living in Chicago? I'll take this one. All right, for me, I have a love and hate relationship with the city. I wear the city on my sleeve. I'm proud from where I came from and what the city represents to a certain extent, but also I don't love what the city has done at times and what's been accepted as far as violence is concerned in other aspects of the city. I think for me personally, I've had my fill of living here. Like I don't feel like I'm getting any better by continuing to live here. And I feel like I'm at that part of my life where I need to get out. Like it's crazy to think that you're one of the great cities in the world. Why would you want to leave? But I think it's a little different for people who are born in a certain area for a certain amount of time, and then to expect to live in that one place your entire life. I just think it's unrealistic and not true to what you want and what you want to be in your life. I always say you cannot live on anybody's terms besides your own. The only exception is if you have kids. That's the only exception to this rule. I think if you're living your life and you're not married and you don't have kids, you have to live life on your own terms. And as much as I love being from the city and I've always beat Chicago through and through, I've had enough. I need to move out and I need to start this next chapter of my life. So.
And it's funny, Josh. As somebody who's moved a lot over my. I was thinking about this the other day. I've moved over the last 20 years. I've moved on average once every 2 years. And it's just, and it's not because I've decided I've needed a new start. It's just, again, how life happened to work out. And as I got more and more opportunities, I had to relocate. And again, nothing bad. It's just all of my moves have been upgrades, I will say. And it's allowed me an opportunity, like you said, to get a fresh start, to get a new perspective on things. We grow when we have changing our scenery also changes our perspective. And it allows us to look at things differently. It allows us to come at things from different angles, and getting a fresh start allows you to hit the reset button and to try some things that you've always wanted to try, get redos on things that didn't work out the first time. So I always say that people need to live at least one other person, because a lot of people that just grow up, never leave their hometown, and are just live out there, and they exist. They don't live. And I think there's a huge difference if you do that. If you just stay in your hometown and just kind of work a dead end job that you hate because you just don't have the urge to leave, that's just existing. That's not living. And so I support that 100%, brother Adam. And I think that could be good for you. Do you have any ideas where you want to go?
I do. I have a couple places in mind. Mostly it's Florida, though. For me, it's definitely where I want to be.
So do it.
It's always been my happy place. That's the thing. So you're right. I just got to do it. I got to act on it. That's the biggest thing.
Maybe now hitting this milestone of 250 episodes will be a launching point to. I really need to move on and start seizing what my life needs to be. Our lives are so short. Let's make the most of them.
Right. And yeah, I had to start this next chapter for myself, like the more I'm here, the more I realize like I want out of this city. Like I can't tell you how much peaceful I've been with having this transition of moving into my own apartment for the first time and dealing with this every day where I'm on my own and doing things on my own terms. I love it, man. Like now it's time for me to act on and actually start having my independence. It's just time, Yeah. By the way, I apologize because I know this could be a longer edition of the Hoots podcast, but obviously it's the big show, so obviously this is an exception.
Yep.
All right, next one. What profession did you want to get into when you were younger? Oh man.
Oh, I can handle this one. I thought I was going to do something with math and numbers for sure. I thought I was going to be. Well, first I thought I was going to be a lawyer because I just wanted to get paid. But then I realized growing up I was not good at that. That field would not have worked out well for me. Yeah. And then I thought I was going to do something with numbers, like an actuary or something like that, where I work a lot with numbers and then get paid a lot. But then, so I always thought I was going to do that. But then I just, the music life chose me, and I can't see myself doing anything else. But no, I always thought I was going to do something with numbers and math.
For me, I had two things that I wanted to do. I wanted to be the next Glenn Fry or the next Jim Ross. So I'm kind of doing what I want to do, but I'm not in the wrestling business yet. I think that's the only difference, the fact that I'm a media member for a kid that was shy and had my mom be like, God, you're so anti-social, like, it's like you were going back to what you're saying earlier. Like when I'm on the stage and play music, or I'm doing something like this, or I'm doing a transcript, I'm on. I could do whatever I need to do, and everything else around me is just not there. Sometimes I feel like invisible to people when I'm doing what I want to do and performing and stuff like that. But that time period when I'm on my own, I have to detox and stuff like that. So for me, professionally, I always wanted to be either touring around the world playing music or be a play-by-play guy for the WWE. Those are the two things I always wanted to do. So,
and maybe that'll happen one day. You never know.
I definitely hope so. Absolutely. All right, next question. Was your family religious, and are you now? Religious is kind of fluid in my opinion. I wouldn't say they're ultra religious. I know my nanny and my aunt Berta were the choir directors in my family's church. I don't know if any of you guys know that.
So that's cool.
I was an altar boy. I never.
I didn't know that. Cool.
Yeah, so I was an altar boy. That was a good experience. Again, like I mentioned earlier, I believe in God. I go to church when I can, but it's also that I don't shove down people's throats. I think my faith and everything is kind of the reasons why I've been able to keep myself level-headed and being able to have the patience that I have with certain things that I go through in my life. So I think that's the biggest thing that stands out to me. So yeah, my family believes in religion. I come from a Catholic family, but from my mom's side, my dad's side, it was a Christian family. So for me, I believe in God, and He guides me through what I need to go through. So yeah,
I think that's great. My family, they believe in God. They're not really church goers, but we've talked about that. I've ever since my undergraduate degree, I've been going to church for a long time. 20 years. I haven't found a church home here in Colorado, so I watch online, and also with the pandemic, it's tough. With being able to be in person in things. But I've been part of a music ministry everywhere I've gone, and that is very important to me. And to me, it just gives me a lot of inner peace. Like, when things are going real bad, it's like, well, this is what God's plan was for me, and it just gives me a sense of inner peace to know that I'm not in control, and I can just do my life and live the best person, be the best version of, be the authentic product that is myself. And
yes,
that's what I try to do.
Oh man, yes, I can't stress that enough, folks. You got to be the authentic product that is yourself. Absolutely. All right, you said I'll take this one because this next one's for me. You said you work at a tattoo shop. What's the coolest tattoo you've ever done or seen in person? Well, I want to make something perfectly clear. I am not. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, for me personally, I am not a tattoo artist. I can't draw to save my life. So for me, for what I do at the tattoo shop, I'm a shop assistant general manager, whatever the hell you want to call it. I oversee all the tattoos in the shop. I handle all the paperwork in the shop. I handle, filing up the date of the book and cleaning the tattoo tubes and piercing clamps and stuff like that. You guys don't know that outside of wrestling, my day job, I work at a tattoo shop called Infamous Ink. It's my uncle's tattoo shop. And I do all the dirty work, basically, at the tattoo shop. So this one is kind of... I got to tread lightly with what I mentioned here, but I've had a lot of interesting experiences while working at the tattoo shop. I'll definitely say that. But for me, like there was this chick that came in. Her name was Amy. She came, no, not Amy. Her name was I'm trying to remember. It was her name was Jessica. Yeah, her name was Jessica. She came in about 2 years ago. Now, full disclosure, I've been working at this tattoo shop for 3 years now, so I've seen a lot of crazy stuff. So some stuff slips over my head. Okay, so I apologize. This girl named Jessica came in, and she's a big fan of Amy Winehouse. She looks up to her, so she was a big fan. And one of these nights, she came in, and I seen literally almost every tattoo you could see in God's green earth. No, I don't do tattoos because I can't draw to save my life, so I'm not gonna embarrass myself in that light. But I oversee all the tattoos. So this girl came in with a very interesting, let's say, request in a certain body part that we were mentioning earlier. So she requested a portrait that she found of Amy Winehouse, and she wanted it above her vaginal streams. So that was a very interesting experience. She paid, it was a good hefty price she paid for it. I had to take the picture of it for her once the tattoo was done. So that was that was the night I will never forget. The design of it came out really good, actually. I can't lie about it. It came out really, really good. So like we call this chick the Amy Winehouse chick, because like she came into the tattoo shop and asked literally for a portrait of Amy Winehouse above her vagina. Like, it's the craziest tattoo I've seen since working at this shop, and it's something that I'll never forget in the 3 years of working at this place. So that's the one that stands out to me. I don't have any tattoos, by the way, in case anybody's wondering. I don't have any yet. If I would, I'd get like a chapter or something like that, like a verse from Biggie Smalls I put on my shoulder or something like that. But like, I don't have any tattoos on myself yet. But yeah, I know it's a little really in detail of what happened there. So, yeah.
Wow. I was just like sitting and listening to this. Like, I'm not going to say anything because this is very intriguing. This was In fact, you get +3 on your performance evaluation for telling an amazing story.
I appreciate that.
Well done. Bravo.
Speaking of performance evaluations, I want to bring in a surprise guest here for the Hoots podcast.
All right.
Boy, ladies and gentlemen, let's get to it.
Hey! Yes! Happy 250, boys.
Thank you.
Oh, man.
What's going on, Mitchell McMule?
I apologize for the weed whacking in the background, but I'm good. Just been enjoying the show, and happy 250, guys.
Thank you. Deeply appreciate it.
Mick Lukewarm, how's it going?
Nick Lukewarm is pretty good. Besides the fact that I tested positive for COVID last Monday, I'm pretty good.
Oh, Matt, I'm so sorry. How you feeling?
I feel a lot better. It was. My symptoms were like I was kind of up and down for like a week, but it was like cold. I just took Mucinex and Robitussin and Tylenol, and that's it. It was fine.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, man.
I consider myself lucky because I didn't have to get tested or I didn't get COVID for a year. So, what can you do now that everything's opening up? I'll be having antibodies and I'll be good. It's all good.
Good.
This is the longest Q&A session we've had on this show yet.
Man, 2 hours in, I love it.
I think we reached like 60 questions. It's insane. So we're going for the juggler today.
50 questions? Holy crap.
Yeah. This is getting back to the Good Brothers today. All right, next one. Matt can answer the rest of the questions here from Nate and Tony. We're going to wrap it up with those two guys. And then the main event. What the hell is wrong? AEW. Matt's here to enjoy it live.
I'm going to be like the positive one on this segment. It's going to be weird.
Well, you can laugh and get the reality check.
Oh,
yes. All right. Let's see. Next one for Nate. He says, what is your favorite non-wrestling television show? Well, I know what Matt's favorite non-wrestling show is. But for me, I have a couple. It's kind of different because for me, I really don't watch episodic TV shows or like dramas or stuff like that. I really like it's like comedy stuff. So I was always a big fan of Nick Cannon's Wild 'N Out show. So that was one good one. And if I was like younger, I always go back to the classics like That 70s Show or Everybody Loves Raymond. That's definitely one of my favorite shows. What about you, Brother Carter?
To me, my favorite television show of all time is Breaking Bad. I thought it was just incredibly well done. It starts slow. You really have to get through about the third or fourth season, and then it just takes off exponentially well. So that's really good. I've always been a big Seinfeld person. I think Seinfeld is also one of my favorite shows of all time, and The Simpsons. I'd probably say are my top 3 favorite shows of all time. Currently, I'm really excited for the final season of Queen of the South. That's going to be starting up pretty soon.
I really like that show.
And that's I thought that's a great show too. So those are some of mine.
Matt?
I think you know my answer, Josh. There's not a lot of people that know me in this podcast verse that know that I am a Real Housewives fanatic. I follow the Real Housewives like I follow wrestling and sports.
Yeah.
In my opinion, it's like a TV show where I'm invested in the characters and their lives, but they're real. I've been watching the show for 10 years. So I've watched like Teresa go through going to jail and, having her parents die. It's like you get invested in these characters and you want to keep watching. I also love some good drama. But in terms of my favorite TV show, I think that Power is the best show on TV. I think it's not even close.
It's a great show.
The WWE could learn a lot from Courtney Kemp's writing. It is just unbelievable the things that happen every single episode, and they just finished the final season of the actual Power, but they're going to do like 5 spinoff. 50 Cent just signed a $400 million producing deal with Stars. It's insane. If you have not watched Power, I highly, highly, highly recommend it.
Yeah, I definitely watch it for Lala Anthony's Waterfall. But that's another time another show for another.
She's got lots of sex scenes, Josh. So have at it.
Yes, I can't be remiss without mentioning Martin and the French Prince of Bel-Air was my favorite show as a kid growing up. So I got exposed to a lot of bad stuff when I was at a young age. I was watching Beavis and Butthead and a bunch of like adult shit when I was young. So I guess you guys understand my non-filtered tendencies at times. I got corrupted, man. Leave me alone. I got corrupted. All right, next question for Nate. He says, "Who do you think is the 3 greatest rappers of all time?" Let's go. B-I-G. No, I'm kidding. For me, it's number 1 is Biggie, number 2 is Tupac, and 3 for me is probably either Jay-Z or Eminem. You could pick or choose whatever you want out of the list. Oh, do you guys?
I mean, I was never really a big rap fan, but I can appreciate it certainly. Busta Rhymes, I think what he can do with the English language is just incredible.
Oh yeah.
So, so I would say Busta Rhymes. You can't go wrong with Jay-Z or any of your picks, Josh. Biggie, Jay-Z. I throw Coolio in there. I think he does some good work. So, yeah, I'll just leave it there because I'm not a rap expert.
Mitchell.
One of the first CDs that I got that I really remember is listening to In Da Club 50 Cent in 5th grade on the school bus on the freaking Walkman CD players we all used to have, but that made me feel so old. But I agree with you, Josh. I think that Biggie, Tupac, and probably Jay-Z. I love Big Sean too. I love good music, and Kanye is a genius. I just he's just become. He just changed a lot in the last 10 years. It's My Beautiful Dark Twisted Fantasy is one of my favorite albums of all time. I love it. And ever since then, he's just.
I'm also a big fan of NF. There's a song from NF that I'm using as kind of like the theme song for this week's episode that you guys will hear in the audio edition. It kind of gives you a picture of where my head's at personally and professionally. So it's a really powerful song. Yeah, we could do rap one with King. I told King that me and him are gonna do like a little mini special podcast for whenever Biggie's birthday's coming up, so in May. So that's gonna be pretty cool when we record that. All right, next question. This is a good one. Mental health wise, what helps you keep from getting stressed out? Man, I don't want to sound like a broken record, but like for me, it's all in perspective of what I want to stress me out and what energy that gets me to that point. For me, just generally, I think I'm a easygoing person. I like to say I'm mostly level-headed throughout the day and just how I am personally. There's stress that comes with what I do for a living, especially from the wrestling side of covering the industry, let alone watching it as a fan. That's just a different subconscious thing. But like for me, how I handle stress is listening to music and reminding myself, is this something that I want to lose sleep over or something that's going to bring me down? That's always 2 questions that I have in the top of my head. Because honestly, when it comes to stress, you just be naive to act like you're not going to go through bad days. Just being honest with you guys with that, like to sit there that you're not going to deal with stress or deal with people that are using you or whatever the situation is, or people that come in your life and try to fuck with your head. You could go and be distant from somebody who rejected you and then come back to your life and be like, oh, they'll try to guilt trip you for not initiating contact, and then when you do, they'll tell you, "Oh, you have too many expectations." And at that point, it's like I don't need to get stressed out about that. All I do is just throw my middle finger at the air. Because honestly, if you don't get to the point where I'm distancing myself from you, why would I have expectations when you're saying, "Oh, you're not initiating contact"? You know, like that just makes no sense. And for me, when it comes to stress, if it's warranted, I'll tap into that energy. But for me, mostly, if it's something small or minuscule that really does not matter in my long-term picture of where I am in my life, I'm glad I'm at the part where I know my value and I know what matters to me. So when it comes to stress and mental health and stuff like that, I know if it's something that I need to address it, I'm going to tackle it head on as much as it hurts me or I cry about it. wherever, I know I'm going to let that energy out. Is that weight's going to come off my shoulder, and then I go from there, because you just cannot let things fester in you. You just can't. I don't care what the situation is. You can't let shit fester inside of you. It's just going to do you no favors. Go ahead, guys.
For me, I'm someone that is very big on my downtime. I do have a lot of anxiety at times, and sometimes it can hit you really quick. So just kind of getting into a story or watching an episode of Power, or if I'm watching, I just watched Ozark, and that was really nice. Talking to friends, and and also at times, I do have my medical card, so Derek knows all about that fun stuff out there in Colorado.
There's a place to enjoy that fun stuff 1 block from my apartment, so just keeping that in mind.
I cannot wait to see you. I told you I'm
Just
down.
saying.
See you soon. Just downtime, and I mean, there's times when life gets you, and there's certain situations that bother you, but a lot of times I just have to take a step back and remove myself and just breathe for a second, and usually I'm fine. But I typically am like Josh. I'm very level-headed for the most part.
Brett Carr, what you got?
Yeah, I mean, again, like Josh, you said it perfectly. We'd be naive to think that there's going to be stressful times in life where we just feel like the weight of the world is too much for us to handle. But I'm generally a very positive, outgoing, upbeat person, as you know. But when I do need to decompress, I like to. I mean, I read. I'm a reader. I've got about 5 books sitting over here on my couch. Then I've got to cycling through those. So I like to do that. I play video games occasionally. I love playing role-playing games. Those are my escape. I love being able to go through a story while kind of controlling a story. So I do that. I love to travel. I travel a lot in normal times, so I travel a lot and see different parts of the world, just kind of help me reconnect. And occasionally I'll just sit back and take an inventory of my life and say, when things are not going well, if you just take a step back and think, there are 1,000 people in this world that would kill to be in the position that I'm at right now. Right. And you just keep that in perspective. Things are sucking right now, but what if things are sucking in your life? Instead of moping, ask yourself, what am I going to do about it?
Amen. Yes.
If you don't like where you are in your life, do something about it. If to the extent that you can, at least come up with a plan and write that plan down and put it in a place where you can see it every single day. Because if it's not written down, it doesn't exist. So do something. If you don't like where your life is, don't sit around and bitch about it. Do something about it. Grab life by the balls and fucking go.
Yeah. And it's something I always kept to with it. It's if I'm going to do something or say that I need to get to a certain point, I'm going to do everything I can to get to that point. Mm-hmm. There's moments in life where you realize you need to take a step out of your comfort zone. There's times where you just need to get out of your environment. I took that risk of moving out here and having my first part, but I knew in that moment that it's going to lead me out of the city, and I'm going to enjoy this next chapter of my life, and even the stuff I've done with relationship wise, I think the thing that's always been important with me is keeping my word and being true to myself. And when it comes to relationships, I always get a kick out of people like, this is the whole dynamic of whether you're a girlfriend or a friend with somebody. For me, whether I'm married to somebody, in a relationship with somebody, or just dynamic with you guys, I'm still going to be the same Joshie you hear on air or off the mic. Nothing changes with me, no matter what the situation is. And for me, I think it's kind of stupid, this concept of, you can't. I hate seeing people limit what they could be to another person. Mm-hmm. My dynamic with you guys is the same way I have with my family members, the same, whatever the situation is for me. It's I can't limit what I can be to somebody. Because again, I'm not living on anybody's terms of my own, and that's the thing you have to keep perspective on. But let's speed through the last round of questions here for Nate, and then we'll get to Tony's questions, and we'll get out of here. Real quick, favorite concert you guys been to?
Favorite which?
Favorite concert.
Oh, okay. I'm going to take a different answer than to most. I got to see the Dallas Symphony Orchestra and Choir perform the Second Symphony of Gustav Mahler live. And it was just, I mean, if you don't know the piece, it's like a 90-piece orchestra is with a 90-piece choir. I mean, and just the sound of forces coming your way and how Mahler is able to orchestrate everything is just an absolutely jaw-dropping and just floor-dropping experience. So I would say getting to see the Second Symphony live with the Dallas Symphony Orchestra was amazing.
Matt?
It's so tough because I got the opportunity. A friend had an extra ticket randomly to see Springsteen at Giant Stadium when Clarence was still alive. That was unbelievable. Cool. Coldplay was unreal at the Link. But my favorite concert was I got my little sister tickets to Thomas Rhett, Dustin Lynch, and Russell Dickerson. It's like at this big outdoor area where they have a bunch of concerts, and country concerts are always fun because there's lots of booty shorts and low cut tops, and people are always ready to have a good time. Even if you don't like country music, going to a country concert is a good time. It's a giant party. It's a blast.
I do like that Russell Dickinson. I like the song "Yours." That's a great song. My favorite concert I went to was the only concert I ever went to. I was with my grandpa. I went to see an Eagles concert at the United Center after their documentary came out on Showtime, The History of the Eagles. It was like 2013 or something like that. I was in the middle of going to broadcasting school at that time. It was a September weekend, I think it was, like a Friday. We went that night to see the History of the Eagles tour. So that was really cool. That was the last time I got to see Glenn Fry before he passed away. So I was very fortunate to go see that because Eagles always been my favorite band. So to get to experience that with my grandpa is something that I won't forget. So that's my favorite concert. All right, next question. 1 second, hold up. Twitter's acting weird. What else is new? Do you want to learn more instruments? I think I've learned as much instruments as I want to in my life. I'll be honest with you, I don't have any interest in playing any breathing instruments or like horns or anything like that. For me, I like to stay in my lane. Like I know I'm good at rhythm, so playing percussion and playing guitar or bass and piano, that's my realm. That's what I'm good at. So I'll always play music. It's always going to be a big part of my life. I got trained music. I know how to read sheet music. I love the art of music. So I'll have an interest in learning new instruments still.
Yeah, I want to learn more about the instruments and how they work, just to help teach them better. But to actually play them, I don't. That would just be more frustrating for me than the time I'd be willing to put in.
I don't think people realize there's like a mental strain that comes with the process of learning an instrument and everything that goes into it. It's not just what you see on paper or just me flicking my wrist and just doing whatever on my guitar, right? Like there's word about time signature, key signature, the rhythm of the songs. There's a lot of things that go into play music that people don't really realize, especially when you're reading sheet music. Something like you have to be really good at multitasking, and that can be challenging sometimes for some people. So when it comes to playing music, it's something that I always appreciated. And yeah, just that whole burden of trying to learn something. Is my breath off? I'm playing this note, or do I have the right posture to play this instrument? Like there's other aspects than just, okay, I'm going to pick up an instrument. I'm going to take a quick course on it on some online place, and then I'm set and all ready to go. And I don't think this works that way. So you have to be literally all in if you're going to try to learn an instrument, though. Yeah. Matt, how about you? What about your instruments you played?
In terms of who's on this show right now, I'm like the least. I'm not a novice, but obviously Derek does it for a living. Josh is a phenomenal guitar player, like does covers and stuff. I actually, you guys don't know this, but when I was growing up, I actually did play guitar. I did enjoy it. I haven't picked one up in a while, but I'd love to do it again. And I'm a very curious person, so I love to learn, like, I don't know, just like funny, like random instruments. Um, like maybe the Caribbean style bands, or
Yeah.
and probably just like more on the guitar if I were to pick one.
Nate asked a follow-up question about what's the most difficult song to play on the guitar. I'd say for me, any song that involves finger picking, I hate it. To be honest with you, it's so, going back to what I was saying about timing and stuff. I want my instrument to sound good. I don't need to show off and do all the extra integral stuff like that. For me, like I always been like a big fan of R&B music and jazz, so I love the element of just playing loose and playing the chords and stuff like that. So, like Blackbird by the Beatles is freaking hard to play. There's a couple other songs here and there from Metallica that I've learned over the years, but it's hard to play. Shout out to Adam. I know he's a big fan of Tool, so there's a song called Vicarious. I learned the guitar riff to that song, so that was a fun challenge to do, but that was a fun song to play. But that's a good question though, Dan. I like that. Who do you think is the most underrated rapper of all time and why? I'll make this quick. For me, I'll go with Ice Cube, believe it or not. For his era and what he did for that generation of hip hop fans at that stage. I mean, you could pick out anybody you want from the list. I mean, you could say Dr. Dre, even though he's not always known as the rapper, he's more for his producing and songwriting ability. But for me, as far as rapping, just pure rapping, I think Ice Cube is very underrated for what he's done in his career. Matt, what about you?
I'm gonna say one of my favorite rappers, 50 Cent, and I'm gonna say it because I think he's underrated in the impact he made on rap when In the Club came out, when The Massacre came out in 2004, 2005, and just kind of how it just like changed. I thought that it changed everything. I think these 50 Cent, he's been involved in Vitamin Water, and he's a producer now in a bunch of different businesses, but people really forget how good he was as a rapper because, I mean, after I think it was the AO Technology album.
Yeah,
he really just like went into other things, and he hasn't really been in. He'll make songs here and there, like his he made the theme song for Power, and he's made a few songs, last couple years that have been good, but nothing like that. And also, I'll say Big Sean. I think Big Sean's really good too.
All right, here's a good one for you guys. Are you an optimist or a narcissist? I think I probably butchered the pronouncing name, but I'm Rican. Just give me a break.
Right. I mean, I'm an optimist. I think it's just very obvious to see anybody that has a conversation with me. I always try to look at always look on the bright side of life.
I think I'm an optimist too. I always really try and take the best out of situations and really just like see the good in people. I mean, yeah, I think I'm more of a narcissist when it comes to like myself. And I have high expectations for myself. I'm my harshest critic. So I think, like personality-wise, I'm definitely an optimist. But at times, I can be hard on myself. So maybe a little bit of both.
I definitely agree with Matt. I am my own worst enemy. So I'll definitely say you guys know this about me as well, that I put myself down when I don't need to and put pressure on myself that I don't need to at times. And that'd be the only narcissistic aspect to me. I had somebody mention to me, like, I can't believe like how patient you are with like wrestling and the stuff you do, like typing out articles and stuff like that. And it doesn't like affect your passion for the industry. Like for me, I think maybe my brain, my outlook in wrestling be a lot different if I was not doing the articles. But for me personally, I think generally I'm like 99% optimistic on a lot of things because it has to be something very important for me to really, like I mentioned earlier, to tap into that negative energy if I need to lash out on something. Like I have to be driven to a certain extent to become narcissist. or negative. Like for me, I am not a glass half empty person. I'm sorry. I am not expecting the worst thing to come out of things. I don't care if I'm indifferent on a product or whatever. As much as I generally just don't enjoy AEW at all, every time I do a show, I want them to have a killer show. Every single time. I want it to be good. But again, for me, at the end of the day, especially the charm with what the hell is wrong with AEW, and we're going to get to that in a couple minutes. Like, the charm of it is the fact that it's rooted in comedy. Is there times where I will let my real frustrations out with AEW? Yeah, but am I generally overly wanted to flop and blah, 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 blah? No. And for me, like, I guess it's just my faith in God and myself that's the reason why, like, I have the patience that I have. Because as long as I have myself, that's what's important. For me, I just rather look at it as a positive light and what I can learn from something instead of dwelling on something that went wrong. Like, we be better people if we're more focused on conflict resolution than, okay, this is gonna happen, my life sucks, yada yada yada, same old thing, blah 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 blah. Like, right. I can't live with that glass half empty point of view. Of course, we could be realistic and not be delusional to things, but also at the same time understand that unless you're trying to learn from a negative situation, either do something about it or shut the fuck up. Because complaining about stuff that doesn't matter at the end of the day is just doing you no favors, and you're just wasting your time and energy.
You're wasting your breath, and you're taking away from your own personal grace. But I will say, though, that you could be an optimist or a narcissist, but like I have my moments. There's a lot of times that like I go down a path and I can't help where my mind's going, but then I'll come back and like be a little better. But I think it's just important just to recognize that, though. Also recognize that everybody does have their moments, and we're all not perfect, and just to kind of try and manage it as best as you can.
All right, here's the last two from Nate. One of them is not Chicago sports related. What's your most cherished sports memory? This is a good one.
Ooh.
Well, I might have a prop for this question, actually. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Believe it or not, Brett Carter, I think for me was The Last Dance.
Oh, good answer. That was a great documentary. I loved every bit of that.
Yeah, I think it's The Last Dance where the White Sox won the World Series in 2005. I mean, it'd be easy to say, the Blackhawks being the Flyers or whoever in the Stanley Cup Finals, but that's just too easy. For me, I think The Last Dance
I don't mean to interrupt, but that was the worst way to end a freaking Stanley Cup Finals. I will never forget that ever. If you guys don't know about the goal, it was just like Patrick Kane just skating down the ice. It's a random shot. Michael Layton should have stopped it, and no one knew that he scored. So Patrick Kane is running down the ice in Philadelphia, and we couldn't see the puck or where it was, and it was just over. It was like, wow, it's over? Okay. Good, Josh. Sorry.
Patrick Kane, definitely one of the best U.S.-born hockey players of all time. Absolutely.
He's if Patrick Kane plays for another couple of years, he'll definitely pass Mike Modano for sure. And he's in great shape. Yeah, I mean the impact. Mike Modano is like, obviously I love Mike Modano. He's done a lot of great things for USA Hockey, but what Patrick Kane has done since he's been drafted has just been unbelievable. And that's also a sore subject for me as a Flyers fan, because we were the worst team in the NHL that year. We didn't win the lottery. The Blackhawks won the lottery, and we got JVR, and the Blackhawks picked Patrick Kane, and the rest is history. So,
Carter, what about you? I mentioned The Last Dance because I mentioned The Last Dance because of the impact it had on sports, and it was really an exposure to me what the 90s Bulls actually were. I was born in 94, so I wasn't able to really process things until 98 or 99, So I wasn't able to appreciate what Michael Jordan was, but The Last Dance, the documentary and everything that went into it is my most cherished sports memory.
Yeah, that's a good one. It's easy for me to say, again, Texas winning the national championship in 2005 because I was there and got to see them live. And that was
that game?
What's that?
You saw that game?
I was there live, man. I was in the. I
Oh,
was there. I was in the. That was my senior year at the University of Texas. I was in the Longhorn band, and we got to go, and I got to be there live to watch Vince Young run it in and win the touchdown and get the touchdown to seal it for Texas.
that is one of the greatest college football national championships I've
Absolutely.
That was a great game.
I was there the year before when y'all played at the Rose Bowl.
That's right.
My little sister was so young; she was wearing all Michigan stuff, and Texas fans kept getting her to do this and to do the Hook'em Orange. It was hilarious.
Dusty Mangum kicked a field goal to win it for us. That was that was great. The other, I mean, there's so many great sports. One that's and maybe it's just because of March Madness and kind of where we are right now, but when the 16 seed beat Virginia a few years ago, that was pretty special too. The first time ever that a 16 beat a 1, and Virginia was they were the number 1 overall seed. They were supposed to win the national championship that year, and they got bounced. And not just, I mean, it wasn't just a buzzer beater. Like, they got stomped. Like, they lost by 20. Mm-hmm. That was I never thought I would see that, and that was an unbelievable moment.
All right, thank you, Nate, for the questions.
I didn't answer this question.
Oh, go, man. Yeah. Oh, that's right. Yeah.
I don't think that I love basketball, but the first few days of March Madness are just the best. Like, just like not wall to wall, just like from 12 to 12, just games on. You make your bracket, even if you're not betting, you make your bracket, you root for your teams. It's fun. This is it's not a hard answer, but it's such a hard question because I'm fortunate to be able to experience a lot live. But like, without a doubt, I mean, this is just,
yep.
Where is it? The Super Bowl was just. I remember like walking around when I was a kid, thinking about the Lombardi Trophy music when the procession, when they bring it through by the players at and just thinking about that would make me tear up. And the fact that I got to witness that, to see a Super Bowl, I'll never forget it. And as bad as the Eagles have turned the last couple of years, like I'll always have that. And that's why like I'm upset about what's going on with the franchise. It's ridiculous what's happened, but that year was just so much fun. And my favorite player from that team, I mean, LeGarrette Blount. Philly Blount's man. He's the man.
Absolutely. I mentioned earlier, like the 05 White Sox. I thought that was kind of cool because they were the first team from Chicago to actually break that baseball curse. Sorry, ESPN. I know your fucking revisionist history. You like to act like the Cubs were the first to break the curse in Chicago. No, it's the White Sox. I have like little sub ones. Like I remember when Derrick Rose was really getting hot, like this MVP season. That Bulls team, I know they didn't win the Eastern Conference that year or whatever, but just that shortened lockout season with the Bulls, that was one of my favorite times as a sports fan. I would like to say the 2018 Bears double dunk included. That was just a fun team to watch for the city.
It was. That defense was so good. I mean, what the hell happened? It's just I know you guys talked about the Bears earlier, but it's just it's a
clown show. Really. It's a damn clown show. All right. Thank you to Nate for sending the question. Make sure to follow him on Twitter at Psycho Nagiri. He sent like 30 or 40 plus questions this week.
I love it. I saw that too. I think it was Wednesday night or Tuesday night. He's like, "Oh, I'll come up with 50." I was like, all right, I love it, man. That's awesome.
Yeah, he's the man. All right. The last two questions, very apropos that you're here for this. The last two questions for the Good Brothers Q&A session this week is coming from our good brother, referee Tony S. From the TVD Wrestling Podcast. I'm going to read this verbatim because this is how Tony is at times. So he wrote it as if he was saying it in this message. So I really appreciate it. He said, first, congratulations on 250 episodes. You've been consistent, evolving, and I'm proud to have you as a good brother. My question is this. What would Josh Lopez today tell Josh Lopez episode 1? Man, that's a good question, man. I think for me, I would say to 21-year-old Joshie is to be proud of the fact that you stood your ground and that you've stayed the course no matter what happens. This field of working in the wrestling media is not easy.
No.
It's not, especially for what I do, and being a wrestling content creator in general, it's not easy. So I would definitely say to be proud of where you are and understand that you're barely scratching the surface. And I still feel like that even now, even though I'm 26. Like, I feel like I have so much more to accomplish in my career, not just with this show, but just in general. And I feel like I'm in a really good place in my life right now. I'm in like really good spirits, and I think for me, I'm damn proud of where the show's gone. I honestly, be honest with you guys, after I was on my original ratio, I never thought I'd be doing a podcast for 5 years, let alone getting up to like 300,000 downloads on Anchor. It's insane. It's insane. It's really humbling. I'm very proud of what the show represents, and it's helped me become a better man and have that confidence that I've lacked my entire life. And I'm damn proud of myself. I am. Nobody can take away the effort I put into this show. What I do, just in general with the transfers and stuff, nobody can take away my drive and work ethic, and that's something that I would also tell myself. Nobody can take anything away from you because you're on the right path and you're doing things for the right reasons. So that'd be the thing I would tell myself, you know. Man, I hate these sentimental questions. Yeah, but you know, like we mentioned earlier in the beginning of the show, Brett Carter, like this show has made me become a better person. And even when I started the show with Adam, I'm just glad that we have a show like this that's available to wrestling fans, where it's not just the run-of-the-mill Meltzer Alvarez format and just all this other bullshit. It's a pure wrestling show, but it's also talk about real life topics as well. And that's the thing I'm most proud of when it comes to this show.
It's a live podcast that happens to be focused around the topic of professional wrestling. That's what we do.
All right, the last question from the Good Birds Q&A. We made it, Brett Carter. I know it's
oh my goodness! Wow.
All right, here we go. He says, with 250 episodes now in the books and with much more assignments and transcriptions, how has this process and experience benefited you professionally and personally? And it's kind of similar to the last one, but I think there's a little different twist I could add on to this. I'd love to get your guys' thoughts on this as well. I think for me, professionally, it's given me another layer, I guess I could say, another like realm that I could tap into, another source of motivation. I think for me, I've always been a motivated person. I've always been driven. I've always been high on proving people wrong. I've always been driven on that. But for me, when it comes to this podcast, what's helped me out professionally is the fact that I feel like when it comes to transcripts, I don't think anybody's on my level. I don't.
Agreed.
I don't. When it comes to just pure talk about wrestling and not talk about booking, I don't think, outside of Matt's show and a couple other exceptions, I don't think anybody's on our level when it comes to this podcasting stuff. I don't. Because all of it is come from a genuine point of view. There's nothing famer-shammed or scripts or anything like that. We just speak off the cuff. So
you're on no one's payroll, Josh.
No, I'm not on anybody's payroll. And for me, I don't. When it comes to the transfer specifically, I don't think anybody's on my level. And you know, the fact that I am making 3 times that I did at WrestleZone as far as the transfer is concerned is a testament to that. It's their loss. I appreciate to the people formerly known as Lords of Pain for this partnership that I have for them. I don't work for them. They pay me to share some of my articles on their sites. So I think that's kind of really humbling for the fact that people want your content. That's the thing I'm very proud of from a professional point of view. Personally, how it's benefited me, it's helped me get my own apartment. I think that's something that I need to mention because it's very important. I never think you mentioned earlier, Brent Carr, you never thought you'd be where you are. Well, I never thought that professional wrestling would allow me to move out of my house and pay my own bills and all this crazy shit, pay for cable and all this stuff. It's like I'm blessed, man. Guys, you have no idea. I'm literally blessed and grateful for what I have in my life right now. But I also know the hard work that went into getting where I am at this point. So I don't forget about that. And more importantly, I'm not satisfied. I guess it's the biggest thing I could answer that question because I don't think anybody should ever be satisfied unless you reach your real goal. I do want to work in the wrestling business. I do want to get to that point one day, and I know I will. And whenever I call it WrestleMania down the road, it's gonna be a fun journey, and I'm gonna bring you guys with me. So,
hell yeah.
It's been very beneficial. It's been beneficial to my mental health. It's been beneficial to my confidence. Not arrogance or braggadocious. I know my worth. I know my value. I know who I am. And I think that's the biggest thing personally that this experience is taking out of me is that there's nothing anybody can say behind my back or subtweets or whatever. I know who I am personally, and I'm proud of that. So that's the thing I take away from this experience. And the fact that we have a show that I feel is for the betterment of professional wrestling and wrestling fans in the future than being a detriment. So I could be wrong. What is your guys' takeaways from being part of the show and this in general?
Well, again, and I mentioned this before, I can't believe I'm so lucky that, again, I'm not a part of the wrestling media. I'm just some schmo, some fan who has the opportunity to give some comments and people actually care what I think. And they might not care, and that's fine. I mean, I don't, and that's fine. But I'm just lucky enough that I get the opportunity to work with such great people as yourselves and meet some amazing people through the medium of professional wrestling, and just to get to talk about something that I love on a weekly basis. It's really cool, and I'm grateful to Josh for this opportunity. I'm grateful to Matt for when we were on the pipe bomb, how cool that was. So I'm just grateful to all you guys I'm just some idiot that happens to be a fan and gets to talk to some folks about what I think. So it's great.
How about you, brother?
The best part about this whole journey and just doing podcasting is meeting you guys. And that's just the truth. It's just becoming friends with you guys and meeting the people that I've met. And just, I never in my life imagined that I would go on vacation with the people that I met on Twitter about wrestling ever. But I got to watch WrestleMania with Josh and record. And Derek and I did the live show in Dallas, and I got to meet his brother. And just I'm so excited for Mania next year because I know we're all gonna try and go, and it's gonna be back to normal again. And Josh, just for you, I was going to say this for the end, but man, I am so proud of you. I am so incredibly proud of you. Just everything you've done with this show, to start and just bet on yourself and rightfully so. And just how hard you've worked on the show and what you put into everything, your passion is really just speaks volumes. And also, and I feel weird saying I'm proud of you because I'm a year older than you, but I've watched you grow as a person. I've watched you come out of your shell the last couple of years. I've watched you and the fact that you've turned the podcast and the transcriptions into your life's work it's amazing. It really, really is. I mean, I know how hard you work, and also just the growth that I've seen you personally this year. Everyone deals with difficult situations, and I think that, you're a better man today. And just in general, I love talking about wrestling and being in the podcasting world. But like I said a second ago, it's really just about connecting and meeting people and the friendships and the relationships you build. We're just a couple guys that met on the internet, and we like to talk about wrestling and a bunch of other stuff. It would be the same exact thing if me, Derek, and Josh were having a beer at a bar. Same conversation. It's just it's over the air.
Well said. Well said.
I'm glad this is the testament of what this show is. It's a back porch feel and what this show is. And Matt, I thank you for the words, man. It really means a lot to me. There's a lot of things that came to my life over the last year and a half that I really need to take like some soul searching and like reevaluating what I was doing and how I'm approaching things. And for me, I'm just, like I mentioned, I can't state it enough. I'm in a really good place, and I'm just really happy and excited for the future of the show and just everything going on in the future, and moving the States soon, and just all this shit. I'm just sky's the limit for the show. Like you said, I'm very grateful for the fact that I got to gain brothers from this experience, especially Adam. Since me and him started the show together, I have a brother for life. Same thing with you guys as well, and Tony and Sam and Pat and King and all these other people that supported this podcast over the years. Friends is sometimes can be a fluid topic and a fluid concept, but when people are actually there for you when you need them the most, it's something that I'll never forget. So thank you guys for making this show what it is. It's not just my show, it's your guys' show. It's a brotherhood show, and I'm proud of what the Hoots podcast represents, because it's not just Josh Lopez. I know it was originally called the Josh Lopez Wrestling Podcast, but the Hoots podcast is not just about me. It's about you guys as well. So thank you for what you've done for this show. Honestly, thank you guys.
Awesome.
All right, folks, that's the Good Brothers Q&A session. I know this will be our longest episode we ever did, but I don't care. This is a great show, and this is what it should be. I don't care. We're gonna wrap this up with our main event segment. I'll be honest, this is the greatest thing that I've been part of creating and co-creating, and just help me out. This is one of the best segments in all of professional wrestling podcasting and podcasting in general. It should be up for an Emmy Award, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brecker, I don't know if you have it queued
up. I've got it queued up. Here we go.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're actually going to start talking about some wrestling. Here we go, ladies and gentlemen. It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. We're going to start it off in a 3, 2, 1.
It's time for What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
I was gonna say earlier in the chat when you guys brought this up, but like I remember when Josh sent this to me, I was like in bed at my parents' house and I played it. It was just the funniest thing in the entire. You sent it to me immediately. You're like, you got to check this out. You're gonna die, and I did.
Well, and I sent it to Tony too, and he's like, I've got to just listen to this theme song randomly out of. Oh my god. It is the greatest segment in all of podcasting. Because of the song. If anything else, it's because of the song.
I never found a song that represents a company more than the jingle that we have for this segment. Honestly, I remember putting a little picture of Matt Jackson with the Mud Show sign. You remember that little video I made of it?
Yes.
That's just the perfect picture you have it. But welcome, everybody. I know we're not going to be over in Jacksonville after this segment is over, but we don't give a fuck. We're time to break down this week's edition of what I like to call the Outlaw Festival Flea Market Show. It's the Outlaw Flea Market Show, known as AEW Dynamite, live on TNT. But also, with it being What the Hell's Wrong, AEW, we do like to splice in a couple things we did like and have some positivity with AEW and what we did like. So we'll get that out of the way before we get into the fun stuff. What did you like this week, Brett Carter, if any?
There was only a couple of things I liked about the show this week. And it fortunately had to do with the in-ring wrestling. I actually thought there was a couple of nice moments. I'm all in on John Silver. I think John Silver is incredibly entertaining, and he did a great job against Darby Allin, who I think is a terrific wrestler. So I really I hated the out of the ring, all of the crap that was happening at ringside. I hated that, but just the actual contest between John Silver and Darby Allin, I thought was really well done. I thought Matt Sydal did a fine job against the most overrated wrestler in history, Kenny Omega. I thought Matt Sydal was good, and I actually think that Ty Conti had a nice showing against Nyla Rose. I think that she did some good work as well. I can see why she's up there. Potentially challenging another incredibly overrated champion in professional wrestling, which is the AEW Women's Champion, Hikaru Shida. But so those are the things I enjoyed. But that's all I enjoyed. I thought the rest of it, this was one of the worst episodes of Dynamite that they've ever produced. Honestly, I thought it was terrible.
Matt, what stood out to you this week for if you got to see any of it?
Yeah, I got behind on the show. I saw like the first, I don't know, like 30 minutes or so. Wednesday night is Jersey Day for me, so I was watching my girl Teresa, and it was a big. Anyway, but I did like enjoy the Matt Sydal Kenny Omega match. I like, for whatever reason recently, I like am obsessed with Kenny Omega's entrance theme, and I love the presentation. I'm gonna talk about that because I want to talk a little more global just for like 1 second and be positive. I'm in. I haven't told you guys this yet, but I'm invested. I'm in. It's not a perfect show, but there's lots of reasons to watch. First and foremost, I think that we finally have a semblance of a women's division. That to me is what it feels like with the main event with Thunder Rosa and Cheetah. You got a few different contenders poking around. Look, it's not perfect. I think that all the freaking bullshit Meltzer talk about the match, and it's the greatest women's match of all time. No, it's not the greatest women's match of all time. It was a nice match. But it wasn't about. It's not about the match. The match is irrelevant. It doesn't matter whether it was Elmo and Grover in the main event. The fact that the main event of the show, and I finally feel like there's a division, it gives me a lot of hope. I liked Revolution. I love Kenny Omega as champion. Way more than Jericho. Eons more than Moxley. He was barely on the freaking program. Christian Cage, I'm so excited to see what he can do and see him put on 15-minute matches. I love Christian. Look, I've been as critical as you guys have in the past, but I'm really trying to enjoy it and take it for what it is. And I think that more people will, especially when NXT moves to Tuesdays, especially then, because we're not going to have this like, all right, it's 4:00 on Thursday, and what the hell were the ratings? Like, it's ridiculous. It's completely ridiculous. But
Matt, you know damn well that Brianna Alvarez is still going to post her ratings.
Of course, of course. And I mean, I would expect NXT's numbers to go up, but I do think that there's a lot of positives about the show. They still, like you guys have said, they still need an identity. I hate 10-man tag matches. I hate them. They're terrible.
Thank you.
Fast forward through them every single time. And I like Josh gets mad when I say this shit. I like Jungle Boy. I love Jurassic Express. I think they're hilarious.
I like Jungle Boy. I like Jungle Boy. The other two could go the fuck home and stay.
You just don't like, what do you call them, Josh? Fun size?
No, stunted growth.
Stunted growth, yeah.
Oh God! All right, let me get to what I did like this week on AEW. I loved Britt Baker's promo this week. Fred for mentioned this earlier. You wanted us to talk about it because everything she said was hitting the nail on the spot and stuff that we've talked about here, Brett Carter, on this segment about. Tony Khan reaching out to the latest legend that gets released from WWE instead of focusing on talent that's already on the roster. This is the aspects of identity that I'm talking about, where you don't have a 1A person for your women's division. Yeah, you have the Elite and John Moxley, but honestly, outside of Darby Allin, who's really that one guy that says this is AEW, this is the guy we're going to carry the company around. You can say that down the road it could be Hangman Page, possibly, or MJF, but
that's the one.
But for me, like, the excuse of it being a new show is going to die in May because it's going to be 2 years.
Yep.
And for me, my approach with AEW is the fact that they touted that they're going to right all the wrongs for the WWE, and they have all the answers to every complaint from wrestling fans. So I'm going to hold it to that standard. You're going to call yourself All Elite Wrestling. I cover 7 different wrestling promotions throughout the week, and you guys are just generic as it is from Impact or New Japan or Ring of Honor when it comes to the wrestling in AEW. And let's go back to the positive stuff. I agree with you guys. I like the main event with Darby and John Silver. I thought that was a good match. It just sucks that I probably appreciate more of the matches if I didn't have to hear the shitty commentary in the background. And
oh, it's awful.
It's brutal. But I really like the match. I said I didn't like it, but I'll mention that later on. But what else? And then go ahead.
I was just saying, one other thing that I did like, Josh, was Eddie Kingston's promo with John Maxley. Yeah. And again, he pointed out exactly what's wrong with like what Tony Khan wants. He wants New Japan and the Bullet Club from 6 years ago. That's what he wants. That's.
It's a dirt sheet company. That's what it is. I really liked the Pinnacle promo.
Oh, yeah, I did too.
I thought MJF is clicking on all cylinders. He's back to being the real MJF. Thank God.
What do you guys think, really quick, what do you guys think about how they revealed the faction?
I thought it was fine. I just thought it's silly for people to think that people are actually going to cheer for fucking Jake Hager and Sammy Guevara. Like, you mean to tell me that I'm going to buy that freaking the COVID guy and Jake Hager and the rest of this expressive people are going to be baby faces now? Like, come on.
It's crazy. I mean, people love Jericho. They and I mean, Jericho is hilarious. I mean, rightfully so. Him and MJF were really funny together. But I really enjoyed it, and I thought it was different. I mean, obviously, we thought that it was just MJF is going to turn on Chris Jericho, and we writing on the wall for 6 months, and watching the story and watching where they've come and where they are now, to have them flip it on its head, I thought was a really, really nice wrinkle. And I enjoyed it. And it was a nice way to transition between Revolution and now we're moving toward their WrestleMania, which hopefully will be a good show. Better than last year.
All right, let's get to it. Brett Carter, I want to give you thoughts on this because it's been on my head for the last couple of months.
All right.
I am so tired of the 6-man tag team matches that go out for 15 and 20 minutes. You guys don't know how much of a bitch it is to type out all the sequences in that style of a match, especially a goddamn freaking tumbling festival that I saw last night with the Young Bucks and Lucha Brothers and also. Yeah, it's cute and it's impressive that they do all these moves and stuff, but there's no story being told. And then the sub part of it that I hated the most, actually, besides the match, guys, was this fucking Days of Our Lives storyline that's going on with Olivier and the Young Bucks. Like, oh, you didn't choose me to be your partner. I'm like, come on, man. There's aspects of AEW that's so misleading to their audience where you think they're the sports entertainment show and NXT is the pro wrestling serious mat-based wrestling show. And for me, like, I can't take you guys seriously. I'm sorry, Matt Jackson, as far as like a character is concerned, is like the most disingenuous person that I've ever seen in my entire life. Like they're like fake tough guys. I can't buy into them as baby faces. They're unnatural as actors, Matt. Both of them are. And for me, like, they said it's gonna be sports-based wrestling, but every time I see them interact with Olivier and his odd facial expressions, and he's singing his promos like a jazz artist, like it looks like a soap opera. It's like General Hospital to a certain extent. So that did nothing for me. Just in general, any company 6-man tag team matches that go into multiple commercial breaks is overkill, in my opinion. It's not just AEW. New Japan does it. Impact does it. WWE does it. I'm just over the concept of 6-man tag team matches on TV. You want something special like that? Do it on the pay-per-view where you can actually see the full match. Also, I'm tired of picture-in-picture. It's a concert. You can't make a transition to one segment to another if your life depended on it. We were talking about this last night, Brother Carter. They don't know how to produce live TV.
Oh.
They'll go into one thing and stumble into another thing. It's blatantly obvious, too, because you don't know who the lead play-by-play guy is. One second you think it's Tony Schiavone, the next you think it's Excalibur, the next if JR's awake or he's pretending he's doing a watch along commentary too. Like honestly, Matt, like the rewinds you and Tony do are better than a live JR in AEW Dynamite.
Wow, I know that JR's had a struggle, but I really appreciate that. I don't think that like, and to your point, Josh, like the moves the Young Bucks do are very impressive. It's to me, it's their fan base and it's their whole thing that just I can't get into. And with the 6-man tag matches, and this is also a Young Bucks thing too. Like if you're doing all these flips and dips and it's amazing and it's cool, if you're doing it every single week, is it really that special? Like you have to kind of protect the art of that, and I don't think that AEW does a great job of that because we want to have the best wrestling, do all these flips, have two guys do a front flip and land on 100 people. And then, like you said, Josh, I mean, there's very rarely any storyline consequences when it comes to these tag matches. There's just not.
No, and you're making the referees look stupid too. You're the simultaneous tag. 1, 2. Like, make one tag, hold the tag road. I know me and Tony have gone on about this, about the way they make referees look bad. Brett Carter mentioned how they're out of position and stuff.
All the time.
Edwards still sucks, and still the Dead Corpse rep sucks too. Rick Knox, I call him Dead Corpse rep, but that's just me. What else are they like?
Hey, really quick, Josh. And I want to just say real fast. You hit the nail on the head with the story. I mean, like they're great athletes, but they can't tell a story. Matt, you hit the nail on the. Why would I buy the pay-per-view when I can watch all this great stuff for free every week? Why would I do that? And, as if you've watched any documentary on wrestling, where do wrestling companies make their money? They make it on pay-per-view. And they make it off watching the events on a streaming service that you pay for.
Yeah.
So if I can see all this cool athletic stuff every week with no storylines, why on earth would I purchase the pay-per-view? It just makes no. It's
so important for AEW too because they are a pay-per-view company and there's 4 pay-per-views a year. So you really gotta build me and sell me. I mean, I was not gonna buy the show until I heard about the surprise, and I was like, all right, well, it's Sunday night. If it's freaking Ken Shamrock, I'm gonna be pissed as all hell. Kurt Angle, but it was cool to see Christian.
Let me go to the next thing. This couple side things. Like for me, just the overall flow of the show, I just thought it was hit and miss. To be honest with you, I mentioned stuff I did like. I thought the important things they needed to hit on, I think they did to a certain extent. So I'll give them credit where credit's due on that end. But just the overall flow of the show, I just think it's just there. Like for me, it's nothing that grabs me or I need to see the next week's show. Like, yeah, you could announce any card for the following week's show, but if I'm not even enjoying your live show, why the fuck am I going to care about your tape show the next week? That's where I am with AEW. And then like for me, maybe this nitpick or whatever, but like Dark Order backing away from Sting. Now Sting is coming out as I don't know if like he was coming off as a heel or not. I don't know. Just that part of that match. Also, like you mentioned, Red Card on the outside. I thought that was stupid. I have to say this. There's no reason why you need to have 25 to 30 matches before your marquee television show. Let me just get that out of the way. Whoever's decided to make these match cards for AEW Dark or the new show they do on Mondays, they could go take one in the ass as far as I'm concerned. Because it's just ridiculous. The main event of Dark this week, Brother Carter, was Cesar Bononi and a guy named John Skyler with an 0-9 record on a 14-match card. What the fuck are we doing here?
Why do I care?
I appreciate so much credit for doing all those articles about Elevate Dark and Elevation and all the oh my god.
Yeah, like I appreciate the concept of wanting getting the spotlight to independent talents and whoever's in the undercard or whatever. Cool, that's fine. But there's no reason why that show needs to be 90 minutes for 2 hours plus every single week with 10 to 15 plus matches. It's stupid. And if you're gonna have that match as the main event, it's a slap to the face of people who actually cover your show. Because you could have had Brian Cage in the main event with Brandon Cutler for the FTW title. You could have done something like that. A fucking match with Cesar Bernoni, who's a reject from NXT, and a guy with an 0-9 record. It just makes no fucking sense. And then the thing that I hated the most last night on Dynamite was Jeff Jarrett's segment with QT Marshall. I just thought
Oh my God.
Jeff Jarrett was on the show last night?
That was
No, I like the trailer for the reality show. I'm talking about the stuff they did on stage with Tony Schiavone. I just thought that was stupid.
Well, hey, Josh, you were talking about horrible production. They went out of picture in picture.
Right.
About 30 seconds, Pinnacle got the win. They did a promo in the ring. Then before Pinnacle could even get out of the ring, like Tony was like, and thank you, MJF. Team Taz had a horrible, you couldn't even process what you just saw. And then as soon as that was over, they got into the QT. So you have 3 storylines.
It's like
segue to segue that are not related at all. It was just, there was no flow. It made no sense. I couldn't process anything.
I think I finally got the analogy for AEW. It's like a variety daytime talk show where there's a host like, oh, we're gonna go look at this product. We're gonna go do this. It's like JR's variety show hour where he just will like maneuver between segment and segment. And look, and I want to say this in the segment, I am more upset about what has gone on and what is going on in Stanford and the WWE and the Mania build. I have way more gripes about a lot of things that's going on over there, way more right now than I do with what's going on with AEW. And I can't believe I'm saying that right now.
Here's my analogy with AEW. It's like going to a strip club and you're just not getting what you need out of it. It's just false advertising. It's false advertising. Like,
I see.
Strip club and 100% satisfaction rate. No. It's usually hit and miss on a good day. Like that's how I look at AEW. It's like a misleading strip club. Honestly, that's how I look at it. But what else I want?
Wrap it up, Josh.
Huh?
You got to wrap it up.
Yes,
indeed.
You know what I mean?
I understand. Yeah, I got you, Mitchell. I got you. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, nothing really stood out to me this week over the top. I thought Britt Baker's promo was the best part of the show.
She was great.
Getting her stuff over and stuff like that. I'm done with Tony Schiavone. He could go home and stay home.
Okay.
There's too much of him on the show.
Matt, I want to get your thoughts on this because I know you're a big advocate of women's wrestling. If you were just a casual, well, I mean, AEW doesn't have casual fans, but when was the last time we saw the AEW women's champion actually compete on an AEW program?
Never. That's another big gripe. It's like there's a women's champion, and it's just like I just don't know how you could go. You're like, I said this so many times, and I said this in front of you guys, like how you can say you're the alternative. You can say that you're revolutionary, and you don't have a women's division. You do, but you don't.
No.
They've taken steps. It's better where it is today than it was a week ago.
Sure.
But the champion should be one of the focal points of the show. You will never, if she's fucking healthy, excuse my French, you will never not see Sasha Banks on TV. When's the last time she was not on television when she was either not? It's never happened. Even when she was on Raw, when she was doing nothing for 2 years, she's on TV. I mean, but with that being said, the Asuka Championship reign has been a joke, and I think AEW's women's division has a lot of work to do. But that whole reign and the Raw women's division is in a lot of trouble too.
Yeah, I mean, we can't really compare things with rankings and divisions when they have Red Velvet ranked number 1 in the title contention for AEW. It's like the way they go into their matchmaking makes no fucking sense at times. Even when I'm like typing out like the wins and loss records matches, I keep on with the stats and stuff. Like the way they like set up their matches and stuff, it's ridiculous. But all right, folks, we're gonna wrap it up right there for this week's edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. I want to thank you guys.
Hold on, Josh. Hold on.
Oh, wait. Yeah, we got my song. Yes.
This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW. Why could you forget to play that we had to play the song? Come on now. What's up? What are we doing? Minus 12. Poor Burns minus 12. How could you? That's the best part of the segment is the song, and you forgot to play it. What are you doing? Good Lord, brother.
One more time for good measure.
Yeah, huh?
Go ahead. One more time for good measure.
Wait, what?
I said one more time for good measure.
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. Hold on. I missed it. Yeah, let's go again. This has been What the Hell is Wrong with AEW.
All right, Ricardo, last bit of this journey here. What's my performance evaluation?
Okay. All right. This has been a tough one. And as director of operations, sometimes you have difficult performance evaluations because there's a lot of different things that go into it. There's been some wonderful times in this show. There's been some times where you've slipped, Brother Adam, and I must say that there's a problem with that. You know, you forgot to play the song. You called me Saxton. What else did you do? What else did you do earlier that I got a negative? I can't even remember. So I'm gonna give, because this is the 250th show and we've had a lot of reminiscing and that's been great. I'm gonna give you an A-. I'm gonna give you an A- because we had a great highs. But we've got to make sure that we remember to play the song every week. So I'm gonna give you an A-. So when we get to our 300th show, I'm gonna need you to step it up a little bit here, all right, in our 300th show. But okay, I'll let my team work on that. Yeah.
By the way, congrats to your induction into the WWE Hall of Fame as well. I want to
thank you. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that. As
director of operations,
as director of operations, getting into the Hall of Fame. Yes, thank you. I appreciate that.
How cool was that moment with Undertaker and Kane? That was awesome.
Yeah, that was cool.
Yeah. All right. We're about to wrap it up real quick, but let's let everybody know where people can find the Good Brothers at. Matt, go ahead. Tell everybody about the TVD Wrestling Podcast.
Thank you so much, Josh. First of all, I really appreciate you having me on. It was a really, really great surprise to come on and share this episode and with you guys and this milestone with you, man. Like I said earlier, I'm so proud of you and the journey that you've taken with this and where you've come and just making a name for yourself. And I love it. It's awesome, and your passion just really speaks volumes. So I'm so happy for you. Here's to 250 more. It's going to be great, and I'm looking forward to coming on plenty more times. I 100% promise that we will definitely do a show this summer on the deck in Sea Isle so we can hear and like I'm used to it. It happens every day, and I was just talking about something, and Josh and Derek were like, wait, what's wrong? Is there a fire? Is there like an issue? Like, let's just see how it's weird, but whatever. But yeah, I am the host of the TBD Wrestling Podcast with referee Tony S. Recently did have Josh and Derek on. It was an absolute blast. Version 17 was with King Ajar. We talked about the business, kind of like behind the scenes, TV ratings. We even got into NHL TV deal discussions and lots of different odds and ends. And then the 3 counts out now, version 18. These two gentlemen will be coming on before WrestleMania. We're going to do a WrestleMania roundtable with King, Josh, Derek, and myself and Tony. That's going to be a lot of fun. You can follow us at TBD_wrestling. I'm on Twitter at MattMcCool24. And you can follow my better half at referee Tony S on Twitter. TBD Wrestling, a lot of fun, and looking forward to having these guys on pretty soon. Congrats 250, Josh, and thanks for having me. Seriously, this was I was not expecting this at all today, And when you text me, I was really excited. So thank you.
Yeah, I'd be remiss not having you be part of it, especially if you watch it live. So read the bust shots with Brother Carter again too, so it's fun as well.
Oh, yeah.
Shots to referee 22, man. He's a damn good man. So shout out to you, brother. Brother Carter, how about you, my man?
Sure. Well, again, Josh, thanks for letting me be a small part of this. It's an honor to be a part of this with you every week, and looking forward to the next 250 episodes and continuing to join in via satellite and live when I can with the segments. Everybody can follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. I don't do a lot of pro wrestling stuff on my Twitter handle or Instagram page. I use those mostly for just stuff that I'm doing in my personal life. So, but if you want, you can follow me on Twitter at Derek Stoughton. You can follow me on Instagram at Jericho06. It's like Jericho except with the D06. Check out all of my work on WrestlingRumors.net. I post articles and write for that website, so you can check all my work out there. I also tweet live from the Wrestling Rumors account when we, along with Raw and SmackDown Raw and AEW SmackDown and the pay-per-views. So definitely check out my work there. Josh, congratulations on 250 episodes, my friend. Cannot wait to see what the next 250 bring.
Thank you, guys. I appreciate it, man. First off, I want to thank every single good brother and good sister who support this podcast since the beginning with me and Adam. We definitely appreciate the support, the weekly support as well. We don't have fans. I don't believe in that concept. We have good brothers and good sisters who take time out of their day to listen to this show, and it really means the world to me. And I always say that Thursday is my favorite day of the week because it's recording weekend. I treat this as my therapy, and this is one of the great life escapes that I have in my life, and I'm damn proud of this project. And here's to 250 more. I'm really excited for the fact that maybe we could do a show in Dallas all together this time, like it was to be the last time. But like, I'm really excited for that, and I'm excited for the future of this podcast and the 100th edition of What the Hell is Wrong with AEW whenever we get to that, Brother Carter. Honestly, though, for everybody that's been part of this podcast and this brotherhood that we have here for the Hoots podcast, thank you. I love you guys, and thank you for the support. We'll be back here next week. I mentioned earlier I'm going to WrestleMania, so I'm very excited to get down to Tampa. It's going to be a good time. And with that being said, for Mitchell McMule or Matt Lukewarm.
There you go. Matt McLukewarm, yes. Mitchell McLukewarm, yes.
Yep. And the director of operations, Brother Carter. I am the nefarious Brother Adam. Have a wonderful weekend, everybody. Remember, be the authentic product that is yourself. And remember, nobody's dictating the pace of your life but yourself. For Matt, for Derek, I'm Joshie. I love you guys. Thank you for being part of the Hoots podcast for the last 5 years, and the best is yet to come. Yes, sir.